Hi, I'm Pati Papineau, and welcome to my show and to the frog in my throat. Tonight, my guest is a very special person. He was born in Rutland, so he makes him a native Vermonter, and has devoted his entire life to not only the beautiful city of Rutland, but to helping those people in the city of Rutland. And he's probably helped hundreds and hundreds and maybe even thousands of people directly and indirectly through his wonderful work in Rutland. And he also, at this time, is a candidate for Rutland City Mayor in our upcoming election. And it's really an honor and a privilege for me to talk this evening on a whole host of subjects with my guest, John Cassarino.
Patty, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here today joining you.
Well, you have a cold and I have a frog, and together we'll have an interesting hour.
I'm just getting over the flu, Patty.
What is an ideal Rutland to you? Would be an ideal city of Rutland?
An ideal city of Rutland where everyone got along with each other, where everybody looked out for each other, and there wasn't all the fighting and bickering that goes on. That would be an ideal Rutland. Mm-hmm. It would be an ideal world, I guess.
I guess it would be. I think it's important to say a little bit about your background. You were born in Rutland, raised here. You have a lovely wife. Mm-hmm. And tell us about your family.
Well, I was born here in Rutland, like you said, and I went to St. Peter's School and Mount St. Joseph Academy. And then I went on to a training school for hotel business down in Washington, D.C., which I graduated from. I was married at a young age, had 3 children, divorced, and remarried to Mary Patricia Hoth, a teacher in the city of Rutland. And we've been married 23 and a half years and have 2 children. Tony, who's 20, and Stephen, who's 18, who are, at this time are both in college. Tony is presently in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Oh my goodness.
Spending her sophomore second semester there. And Stephen is a freshman in Gettysburg College in Pennsylvania.
That's wonderful. I'm going to do something now that I don't usually do with my guests, but I'm going to move your mic. Because you have a cold and you're speaking softly, I'm going to move it a little closer to you.
Okay.
I'm doing a little technical stuff there. Now that that's over, you are involved with the Rutland City Mission, the director. Mm-hmm. You created a board of directors for that. And I think people think that the Rutland City Mission, where it's located where the Park Street Elementary School near the Rutland Fairgrounds is, think that that is just a place where people go to buy used clothing. That's only one of what you do there. Right. You offer assistance, you offer hot meals, you offer a short-term residency program to people who are in need. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk more about what you do, but I want to say something that's very important here for all the people who are watching this program, that the Rutland City Mission is a business, and it couldn't have not survived all these many, many years, not only with the hard work and dedication of this man and foresight of this man, but to run it as a business. And a man who can take the Rutland City Mission and make it flourish. Imagine what he could do for the city of Rutland.
Well,
it's your turn now.
Thank you. Patty, let me just give you a little bit of history. You were away for a while. Mm-hmm. The mission, as you know, was originally, we go by the name of the Open Door Mission. Mm-hmm. It's a Rutland City Rescue Mission, DBA Open Door Mission, and was on Pine Street at the old Watkins School behind where George Looker used to have the state cut rate. Mm-hmm. And when I took that over in 1981, that was dilapidated. Mm-hmm. It was in really bad shape. And what we did was we got a lot of help. We got help from the people of the city of Rutland. And I went on the ballot in 1986, and the people of the city of Rutland voted to let the mission lease the Park Street School. So that really helped us out at that point, and we were able to move down there. And one of the things we did, and it'll be this St. Patrick's Day, we started our soup kitchen, which will be 12 years. And over this 12-year period, we've been able to put out over 350,000 meals to the hungry, the poor, and also the lonely. Mm-hmm. People that don't have any place else to go.
Displaced persons.
Yeah.
But let's say that a little bit longer. Again, 350,000 meals free of charge to people who are in a position to need a hot meal.
That's correct.
Once a day.
Actually, we serve every day of the week. We serve breakfast at 7 p.m. or 7 a.m.
Right.
Yeah, there we go. And then on Monday through Friday, we have a main meal at noon to the outside. And on Saturday and Sunday, we serve right now in the winter at 4:30 to the outside. And then every evening during the week, we serve an extra light meal to the people that are staying there, the residents. Excuse me. And we'll serve somewhere around 80, anywhere from 70 to 80 to 90 meals a day.
So 70, 80, and that all has to be managed and paid for and evaluated and buying the right amount of supplies and cooking the right amounts. I think, oh, that's a big deal. It's not a big, it's a big deal because most of us are used to cooking for 4 or 6 people, and imagine not opening, when your doors are going to open, if you're going to have 60 or 90 people to eat.
Yeah, you never
and
know.
that you never know.
Right.
And who does the cooking?
Well, right now, Sharon Russell and myself have been doing it for the last 2 or 3 years. Back around 1994, 95, things got really strapped and we had to let our cook go. So Sharon and I jumped in and we've been doing the cooking and got to be pretty good cooks. Sharon is a good cook, but I'm learning.
Well, do you know that cooking is one of my hobbies too?
I've heard that.
You have heard that?
Yes.
It's a glorified hobby these days. Gee, I'd love to invite you back as mayor of Rutland and cook for us.
I'd love to do that.
We've had Mayor Jeff Wemberg on the show, and we made a bread. We had a ball.
Oh, I thought maybe he made Swedish meatballs.
No, we made a Swedish bread, his mother's recipe.
Good.
It was great. I'm wearing this little heart, little red heart, as you are wearing near your heart. Tell us the significance of this heart.
Well, that's part of my campaign, Patty. My campaign, I've come out with my terminology that I'm using is leadership. My slogan is leadership with heart. And the leadership being my experience and the heart being my style. So I passed out about 1,500 of these little red hearts. It's been a good campaign play.
It certainly is true that a person, in my opinion, doesn't have a successful life unless they have a heart. And speaking of another part of your heart, I know that you're a member of Immaculate Heart of Mary Church Parish. See you there frequently.
Yes.
Share with us and our viewers what the Lord means to you in your life.
The Lord means everything in my life. In 1975, when I met my wife, or actually I met Mary in 1974, and Mary, a lot of people don't know it, but Mary was a sister of St. Joseph for 10 years.
Oh, really?
And she had left in 71, and when I first met her, she told me that the Lord she felt bigger things for her. And now she'll look and she'll say, I didn't realize how big. So anyway, in 1975, Mary and I got married, and Mary talked me into going on a weekend called a Crucial. And this Crucial took place over in Windsor, and the reason they got me to go was that I was going to drive a person over there so he could do this week, and he really needed to go, and he didn't have a ride. So I went, and anyway, I came back from that week, and it was a short course in Christianity. And I was ready after going through a divorce and losing almost everything I'd had to sort of give up my ways and go the Lord's ways. And I come back from that weekend, and I remember they talked about piety, study, and action. Well, I didn't have much of an idea what piety and study was, but I knew what action was. So I started getting involved in the community. And I started working, I worked with the McCaffreys for a while. I went into the jail, and that just didn't seem like it was enough for me. So I got involved. I was reading meters for CV, and I got involved with a place called the Fellowship Club, which was a drop-in center down on Cottage Street. And it was for alcoholics and drug addicts recovering. It was for lonely people again, or divorced people, disenfranchised people, whatever. They could drop in there and hang out. And like everything, I got involved, and after a couple of years, I was running the place. And that's how I learned about the mission from Monsignor Lynch. Was the chairman of the mission at the time, and people from the mission would come into the Fellowship Club and telling me that they were just about ready to go under. And so I got to talking to Monsignor Lynch, and that's more how I got involved. But as far as I came through that with a whole different outlook, that the number one thing in my life had to be God. And you don't have to be religious. You don't have to walk around saying, praise the Lord, and pressing it on everybody. But my way was to try to live it and try to do what I had learned. And one of the ways to do that was through the fellowship, through the mission, whatever. And I think I tell my people, for example, when somebody comes to the mission, when that person walks through that door, you treat him like he's the Lord Jesus Christ until you know different. Now, sometimes it doesn't take long to know different.
Right, that's true.
But it was basically Matthew 28, feed the hungry, shelter the homeless, visit the lonely, the sick. We deal with all of it. And that's what I've been trying to live for maybe the last 22, 23 years.
Well, you've done a wonderful job of it, because I think also in order to be a mayor, which is a politician, there has to be compassion and understanding, and not somebody that hasn't experienced it or hasn't seen it firsthand, that even in the city of Rutland, with all the wonderful things it has to offer, there are people who are displaced and homeless and don't really have a place to go to eat. So we have to provide that, and you have done that. Now what I'd like to ask you is, through your experience and all you've done in making the mission such a wonderful success, how are you going to apply that into being mayor?
Well, I'm not so sure that
there must be correlation here.
Well, I just think that a lot of people I've talked to in the city, I think a lot of people want someone that they feel is approachable, someone that cares about what happens to them. I feel that I can relate to the person on the street. I can relate to the poor person. I can relate to the person that works in the machine shop, or the person that works in the lawyer's office. I mean, it doesn't make any difference. Not all the cons are in the mission. I mean, I've met them at City Hall, and they have neckties on.
Oh, yes.
So I feel that I've been blessed with the gift of discernment. When I know I have a real knack of cutting through the bull sometimes, and in order to survive at the mission, I've had to do that. But I just think that, like you say, compassion. I know when to be compassionate. A lot of people say, boy, you're real warm fuzzy. People that know me will say, yeah, well, he also knows when to be tough.
Well, that's the key.
And I like to turn around and bring that into the mayor's office and try to be, I don't want to, I mean, yeah, economic development is really important, and I understand it, but I also know that there are a lot of people on the sidelines too. And I want to be everybody's mayor. I don't just want to be for certain people, not just for the poor or just for the rich. I want to be a mayor for everyone. And
what are the qualities you think it takes for a person to become a mayor of any city, John?
Well, I think you have to have a lot of common sense. And I think you have to be able to listen. And you have to look at people and say, Patty, I understand what you're saying, and I will see if I can help you. I'm not going to guarantee it, but let me look into it and do my best. And if you're fair with people, a lot of times I think what people want you to just say to them is, they want you to hear what they've got to say. And they might even know that you can't do anything, but at least listen to my problem. And if you do that, a lot of times that you're successful. Not every time, but quite often.
Well, certainly a key is the ability to listen to people, and then when you said, I might not be able to help you, it's a positive attitude.
Right.
So a person that's very critical and criticizes all the time, who would want a person like that for mayor? I mean, life is bad enough. Political office is bad enough. Mayor, a position of a mayor is nothing but problems and headaches, probably 50 to 60% of the time. If you don't have a positive outlook and a willingness to help people and stop being critical, you're already on a negative street.
That's great.
And if you're on a negative street, I wouldn't brag about it. Get yourself on a positive street.
Absolutely.
It would seem to me.
Yeah. And one of the things is I'm going into it with the idea that I've got a 2-year leave of absence if I want it from the mission.
Okay.
Now, there's this story about, you can take the boy out of the city, but you can't take the city out of the boy. Well, that's it with me with the mission. You can take me out of the mission, but the mission's still in my heart.
Well, you're still in town. I'm sure you'll be over there and able to touch base and see what's going on. You're not going to abandon it.
I'm still on the board, but I will be, I'm out of it as far as being the director. I mean, they'll consult at times, but that's not what my main job may be. My main job will be at City Hall. But I'm going into the job as mayor, if I'm elected, to do the job. I'm not going to be worried about, I need a job. or what am I going to do in 2 years? I'm not going to worry about re-election. I don't want to go to Montpelier. I don't want to go to Washington. All I care about is doing the job in Rutland.
See, that's important. We're talking consistency and stability and loyalty and dedication to Rutland.
I've been here 16 years on the board. I've spent just about every bit of my life in Rutland.
Right.
I'm not going anywhere else.
So we know in 2 years or in 4 years, you're not going to be heading off and coming back and forth.
That's
You
absolutely
are a
right.
Rutlander, and you're here, and you want to embellish our beautiful city.
That's correct.
Let me just touch base on a couple quick things with you.
Sure.
We don't want to spend a lot of time, but let's talk about them. I'd like your view on the bike path, because I know how I feel about that. Patty, how do you feel about this?
Okay, the bike path, the bike path isn't bad. Don't get me wrong. But I don't see it as a priority. I would, and people say, well, we could get the bike path for almost nothing. We get this, we get that. That's not true. You have a certain amount. You got a 10% match. The last bike path that they brought forward was going to cost probably about the city somewhere $150,000, $160,000, $70,000.
Well, that's no small amount of money.
No, and
that's not chump change.
I would much rather, even though they say it doesn't cost us nothing, it's grant money. Well, grant money is everybody's money. And if all you got to do is go to the nursing homes, go to the level 3 care homes, go to the Loretta home, go to any of these places, or go to most anybody's house, and their biggest complaint is the sidewalks in the city of Rutland. I would first think, before we go putting that kind of money into a grant, and the 10% of the grant, that we put it into sidewalks. And I have been investigating that. I've talked to Paul Clifford, who's superintendent of the highway department for the city. And we've talked about some different types of stuff we could do for sidewalks. We can't do it all, but we certainly could get a good head start with that kind of money. Bike path, I personally would rather like to see maybe what they call a bike lane around the city. Bike paths, they make them out to sound wonderful, and they point out Burlington, and they point out, well, Father Joe Wolf was here recently, filling in for my friend Dick Tinney over in Fairhaven, and he was at Immaculate Heart last year, and he was talking about the bike path they got in Buffalo and the people that have been raped and beaten and killed.
Exactly. I've lived in many places around the country, and everybody hears talk, oh, what a wonderful thing for a bike path. A bike path is nothing but another area that really promotes rape and attacks and thefts and burglary and high crime. If you think about it, you got a bike path in the woods. And it's not a safe place. It's not where you'd want, I as a woman, would even in Rutland, I wouldn't ride on a bike path. And I wouldn't go with my daughter, or I wouldn't want my daughter who's 15 going alone.
No, I've used to ride bikes when I was a little younger. And
We all did.
Yeah.
But it was safe for those days.
Yeah, and 1.2 miles is not something that would attract me. You can do that in a couple minutes. I would take my bike and I would go down the Creek Road and ride all the way down, excuse me, by Mill River School and back, and that would be a good 7, 8, 10 mile jaunt. Now that's a bike ride. And to go 1.2 miles, well, first of all, if you got bikes riding on there or you got kids on skateboards, that's not going to be a safe place for people to walk.
No, I think that
And the location of the present bike path that they were talking about
down by the creek's going to get washed out, I would think.
6 months of the year it'd be underwater.
Right. Well, we're real good coffee.
Excuse me again.
Well, we both left the bike path. I think we've kind of situated that. It's something that I'd like to say. And I've only said this to one other person.
Uh-oh.
I've been gone 19 years. And when I come back in the city of Rutland, I drive around the same streets and I see the same dilapidated buildings that I would hear from my parents and friends. It's a fire trap. It's a rat trap, unsafe housing. And how terrible it was 20 years ago. And those houses are still existing today as you drive in certain parts of the city of Rutland. Now, I think economic development is great, and all these extra things that out here that we want to bring into Rutland are great, but I think we need to concentrate on a couple things, and one is making Rutland safer. We have Mr. Craig Shelley, who's the chief now. He's one of the most outstanding people in the fire prevention industry in the world. I don't know how, we're so lucky to have him in Rutland. He did the show. one of the first on the scene to Pan Am 800 and to the Oklahoma City bombing. We have a new fire chief. We have Mr. Monjone. Now we're going to have a new mayor. Can't we get
Mr. Bossi, police chief?
our new police chief. He's new compared to years ago. Can't we somehow get kind of a task force or something together where that these people who are landlords, because most of the people who own these buildings don't live in them, and they're getting rents for...
Let me stop you because...
Can't we do something to tighten this up?
I think we've done...
little something?
We've gotten, especially in the downtown area, we've gotten rid of.
Oh, I'm not
of
talking
that
about
blight.
the downtown.
You're talking about
The streets, more residential streets.
And I think there's a plan. I think they are working on that.
Because it's just such
Jim
a shame.
Simons and
Right.
Craig Shelley and some
Right.
of them have been getting together. And,
Really need to do something.
We've had some new codes that we've drawn up,
Right.
like safety codes and new ordinances, and they're starting to really crack down on them. But like everything, it takes time.
Yeah, and it's hard. And then in the meantime, we have a fire or, heaven forbid, some kind of a tragedy and somebody dies and then somebody stands up. Why, how come this house didn't have code inspection and lost the inspection 10 years ago and nobody came back to re-inspect it? And I'm not pointing the finger at anybody because, like you say, it takes time and it's a consolidated effort. It's not on one person's back. But we have all these wonderful new people and now a new mayor coming in. I'd like to see something done along that line if we couldn't, and I think maybe some Rutlanders would like to see that done too.
Yeah, and I think we have been working on it. Sharon Davis and her Charter and Ordinance Committee has written a lot of new ordinances. Of course, it takes 21 days for them to go into effect.
Right.
And if you've noticed, even right across from where you live, they're starting to fix them up a little bit.
Well, we don't.
You know what I mean.
I live in a lovely neighborhood.
Yes, but
I'm very happy where I live.
There was a house just below.
Oh, I
there
know.
I noticed the other day that guys were
It's
working
changing.
on it.
It's
fixing
changing.
it up. And it's good to see that because it's a city that we want to be proud of. Rutland is a caring city and a city of character, and I think this is.
And we want it safe. We want people to be safe. And we certainly don't want landlords making thousands and maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars over a period of several years on sub-housing. And that's something that's just a little bone with me.
Yeah, okay.
So I said my bone.
That's okay.
That's okay, Patty.
Yeah, it's okay, Patty.
It's my show.
It's your show.
Now, let's talk about the city budget and the Board of Aldermen. When did you get involved in that?
Well, I got involved in the Board of Aldermen in 1983. And my agenda, as everyone has an agenda, was to get a new home for the Open Door Mission. And that took about 4 years, and we accomplished that. And then I started getting more involved in other parts of the city, things with the city, which was the Rutland redevelopment, the plaza.
Right.
Now, you gotta admit that looks a lot better than.
Oh, it's fabulous. What's been done
Window House.
downtown and the Amtrak and now the building of the new Amtrak station, it's wonderful.
Well, what happened was we were looking at it one night, a bunch of us, we come out of an alderman's meeting and we looked over at that place and what a shame, the buildings were down, it was almost empty.
Almost empty, right.
And we got together with Jeff Wenberg, Mayor Wenberg, and we came up with a plan and we hired a woman by the name of Mary Means. And she was from Hutton Associates, I guess it was, Ernie Hutton was his name, and they came in. We had a big meeting up at the high school, junior high school. We probably had 200 or 300 people from the community came in, and it was called Rutland on the Right Track. And we set up a plan, and we started, and that was in 1989. And now if you look at this in 1999.
10 years exactly.
Yeah, and
Completely changed.
No, everything isn't completed.
No.
We can't let this go. No, we got to keep working. You can't live on your laurels. But my wife has a cousin that's a doctor in San Francisco, and he came about a year ago Christmas, and he was just he couldn't believe Rutland. I took him around that night, and the next day he made Mary take him home, and he says, I have never seen a downtown like this. He says, when I left here, I was here 10 years ago, the place was falling apart. Everywhere I go around the country, the downtowns are falling apart. They're deteriorating. You got a Walmart in downtown Rutland? Unheard of.
Right.
I mean, so a lot of good things have been happening on that respect, but we got to do a lot more things. We've got to create more jobs.
How would you do that?
Boy, well, that's hard. And my push in this campaign has been for regional cooperation. That if we work together and That's one of the things. We need to work together with Rutland Town and Proctor and West Rutland. And by working together, we can, put a united front. So when we go to Montpelier and we ask for things, we have a better chance of getting it. We also, I think that we've got a real gem called the Stafford Technical Center.
Absolutely.
And that place up there, and especially David Walks, as David has taken over as superintendent of schools, he's just done a fine job. And one of the things we've been doing a lot more of up there is not just training our students, but training our adults, people that have lost their jobs and they're getting retrained for the workforce. And if you have a real good workforce in the area that's trained, then you're more apt to attract better
And they're
businesses.
trained at 18 years old and 19 years
Yep.
old. You got them ready to rock and roll
Yep.
without having to wait for them to go out of state to get educated
That's right.
and come back, and hopefully come back.
So those are a couple of things. We do have real transportation problems, and they're not going to be solved overnight, but there are a few minor things that we could do. That we're looking to put an access road in that would relieve some of our problems.
On Route 7.
Yeah, fall actually on Route 4.
And 4
It will
too.
take some of the stuff off on Route 7. The road we're looking to put in, it's a small road, but it's on 4 West. It would be if you were coming from West Rutland to Rutland.
Okay.
And where the railroad crossing is, right along there, run a road right up along the creek and run it right up to the back of the plaza.
See, there you go.
And through Park Street. And what that would do is probably about 60% of that traffic that's coming into the city would come up that road in the evenings and would take off over into West Street in different areas. It would open up the House Center on the west side. Excuse me. It would also, rough night here, it would also open up a lot of land that we didn't realize. I didn't realize it was down there that could be developable. Could be developed along there. It would open up transportation to get into the back of Ranberry Road, into Park Street, and if the gas pipeline comes up through, it would open it up for that.
Oh, I think that's an excellent idea. It should be done, absolutely.
But right now, the governor is against it. So if we need to move our tracks, a lot of our tracks are into Rutland Town. So if we're cooperating with Rutland Town, we can move the tracks on to South Rutland. If we get together with them and get our senators and our people and their representatives, and we go up and we put a united fund up there to Montpelier, we might have a better chance than if we're all fighting amongst ourselves.
Well, strength and quantity,
Yeah,
strength in numbers.
yeah.
Sometimes it works.
That's sometimes.
Absolutely. How do you feel about more expansion at the Rutland Airport?
Yeah, I would like to see that, but I don't know a lot about that expansion down there. They just lost, I guess, a real good director, and that's another way of getting people in and out, along with they're talking about bringing another train up from Bennington.
Oh, that's what's needed too.
Yeah, and of course we really took it in the side of the head several years ago when here we are, the populous side of the state, and they put 2 major highways over on the less populated side of the state. And God forbid, I never figure out why they did that. And so today we're suffering because of that. So.
Well, there's always an action and a reaction. But for everything that's negative, eventually something down the road comes up that's positive
Oh, sure.
for something. And, you know, somebody will recognize that and see that Rutland was left out of the loop there and say, well, now it's time for Rutland to come in the loop.
Well,
Don't you think that happens?
Well, I think
I love those loops in my life.
Bring you up to Montpelier with us
You do, huh?
and tell them now,
The loop is time for Rutland.
right. But there's a lot of good things in Rutland. Again, like I was saying, a lot of good things have been happening. I've tried to keep a very positive attitude. We hear criticism of the employees. I don't care what the business is. You're always going to have 1 or 2 employees or a few employees that maybe are having a hard time or not doing the best of jobs. But that's all part of business. And
Well, that's part of
what
life.
about the
That's part of life.
99% of the people that come to work every day and do their job? I mean, we have an excellent fire department.
Oh, absolutely.
And one of the candidates wants to cut it back. I mean, you just can't do that.
No,
When
you
start
can't do
looking
that.
at it, we lose our certification. We're looking at higher insurance costs, all kinds of things. And
Well, I'll tell you something else. I'll interrupt you. You're looking at is because we knock on wood wherever we have it here. We've been very fortunate in Rutland and in Vermont not to have any hazardous waste in any big explosions or any kind of
Right.
big crashes.
Right.
But it will come. I hate to say, oh, she's a pessimist. No, it's just a fact of life. And we're so fortunate again to have Craig Shelley and this wonderful fire department that are trained and getting trained, because these are now, we have the crimes of the century and going into a new century, and we have the crimes and the new fire hazards that are coming in. And it isn't just house fires anymore. People, I don't think, realize that so much in Rutland.
Well, we just voted, spent $24,000 for a new machine that can detect where people are when inside the house.
Right.
You've got to do that.
You've got to have
You've got to
it.
keep it up. We've also got a good police department in Rutland.
Yes, very good.
Bob Holmes came in after a bad time and really stabilized it. Now he's moved on. And Tony Bossie's been waiting in the wings for several years, and he's really a good, smart chief.
And somebody who's been in the ranks and moved up and knows Rutland. And
Right,
Rutland
and he's been cooperating very closely with the schools, which is good, with the DARE program and a few of the other programs up there. And our DPW department, it takes a lot of heat, 2 men to empty the garbage and that kind of stuff. But that's not true. You should have been out there with them a few weeks back during that ice storm. And we have, I think it's 17 less men than we had 10 years ago.
Really?
And the youngest man is 37. And I know, for example, that they had 3 or 4 water breaks, and they had sewer backups, and here they are out there in equipment. And we have a $65,000 snow machine that's been criticized. Well, what happened was it hit a piece of the sidewalk that come up and broke off something. And one of the things with the concrete sidewalks, even though they're nice and people like them, they move and they cause raised heckling with
terrible
their
damage.
equipment.
Yeah.
That's why I talked about this hot mix sidewalks. If we could get some of them, and they've got them on Woodstock Avenue, you could take a plow right along, go right along them, and then they're
Really?
easier to replace, and they do less damage to the equipment. And the other thing is, our street crew actually is only about 10 men. Now we take from other areas and we end up with 24, 25 men in a
But
storm
still,
to do
a
the whole
core
city.
of 10 for a whole city.
And they're out there 24
It's a miracle.
hours at a time. And it's raining and pouring, and you talk to, do you believe in God? Well,
We do.
that rainstorm, talk about act of God, there are things that you can't help.
Right.
And we all get upset and we wish they'd do a better job, and we can criticize, but these guys are out there working their butts off and playing English. So we have good people. We have a good clerk's office. You go in there, and she's working shorthanded as family in there with her staff, but they're very, able. You go into treasurer's office, and Kathy Chaffee is always, hello, and Jay's right there. And they take
Wonderful
it.
city
Yeah, so,
assessor.
yeah,
Barry Keefe's right there, right on top.
We've got good people, and once in a while, somebody will screw up, as they say, but
It happens. That's life.
Yeah.
There was only one perfect person. He was crucified.
yeah, that's
Become
true.
my favorite sentence.
That's true.
It's true.
Yeah, and so we you want to keep it positive, and you're going to have problems, but you got to remember we're also dealing with union contracts, and we've made deals, and they have to live by them, and we have to live by them, and sometimes you can sit down and you can try to talk it out. And being an alderman, for example, I know I've been criticized by one of my opponents, and I sort of chuckle, 16 years, and what has he done? Well, first of all, an alderman has absolutely no power or no authority by himself as one
That's
person.
true. That's true.
He works as the board. You make decisions at the board. And over my 16 years, I've done a lot of things. I've been involved with, I was very instrumental, one of the most instrumental aldermen in forming the police commission, which during a very hard time in the city's history turned out to be very important. I was the one alderman that pushed, I was board president at the time, and I pushed for Channel 15 to come in and be in there. And I was president when it started back in 1990. I worked on the safe school ordinances with the crew. I was involved in the redevelopment authority. I've been there since day one. I've probably got more history and more knowledge
I think you've got more
than any member of the board.
than all of them combined, I believe.
And I haven't left. I haven't gone away and come back. one of the things, again, getting back to this, that one alderman, you don't do any one thing by yourself. You work as a group. Now, as the mayor, you get a little bit more flexibility, and you get to bring forward an agenda. And
institute agendas as well.
right, absolutely.
And that's important. You can have all the agendas and proclamations and contracts, but they have to be instituted appropriately.
Right.
And if they're not, everything falls apart. You know, it's a one strong road, or it's a domino effect that affects all city agencies.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things, getting back to economic development, you can get a plan. And that's what happened with us. We had a plan. And we thought, for example, that CV was going to come downtown into the plaza. And all of a sudden, we got the word that CV wasn't coming. So you can't hang your hat on one thing.
No.
So what we did was
You all should know that.
Yeah, we got flexible.
Yeah, you learn real quick.
We came back and we learned. One of the things, again, like I say, I think the mayor has to be able to be flexible.
Accommodating.
Have a good sense of humor.
Yes.
And if I'm elected mayor, I'm not going to be, I've heard it say, well, we need to open up City Hall. Well, as far as I'm concerned, City Hall is already open. What I think is I would be a mayor. I know I would be the mayor. I'll go out to the people. That's what I want to do. I want to be you'll see me out in the streets. You'll see me at the ball games. You'll see me at all these different places. Because that way there I become accessible to everybody. I'm still John. I mean, I might be the mayor, but I'm still going to be John. I'm not going to change. I've got 2 years to go in and do a good job. And at the end of that 2 years, if I haven't done a good job, I won't run again. I'm going to do the job. I'm not worried about it. I got my job to go back
Yeah, that's
to.
right. You got a job.
And it's something that I love and I care. And if I do a good job and the people want me, okay, then I'll probably run again. So
Now, if you are elected mayor, what's the first thing that you will do as our new mayor?
I've been asked that question a couple of times.
Well, gee whiz, that disappoints me.
Try to figure out, I think I could say anything, but, going into that office realistically to come in and just sort of step back and take a look at it. If you come in and you got all kinds of ideas, you're going to do all kinds of things. You could walk into a left hook or something. I think you need to stop and look back and evaluate what's going on. And you need to listen. I think that's probably the first thing. You need to sit back and listen. And I keep using this term OPB. Well, that means other people's brains.
Very important.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
because what you don't know, you've got wonderful people there and around you in the city government that are experts that know. All you got to do is ask.
And I did, in talking, I didn't mention our recreation department. And I think Mr. Dolly has done a wonderful job.
Excellent.
I think things have been really picking up with the recreation department.
And I'll tell you something else that has made a great, astounding success and the future, is the Rutland Regional Medical Center.
Yep.
20 years ago, when I was going to the Rutland Hospital, and look what it is now. I mean, it's just embellished so much. I mean, there's from support groups to cancer therapy to almost plastic surgery. I mean, there's almost nothing that isn't handled there now.
Well, I'll tell you, I admire Tom Hubner up there, the new president. I have a greatest utmost respect for Tom, and I wouldn't be against picking Tom's brain. Believe me.
You're right. Absolutely. Well, I'm not like anyone, very, very, very many people who grew and had this wonderful city in the background and the values that you get in the small state of Vermont. And that's what you're given here is we bring our children up, I believe, with values and a strong sense of integrity. And not that other states and other parts of the country don't, but certainly we still have some of that New England small family tradition, small state tradition that I feel that we should maintain, that makes us unique and makes us Vermonters. And that's what brought me back, was as I had a career and was successful and all of that, when I had my child, I decided I wanted to grow up in Rutland, where I know that it's safe, that if she wants to walk downtown or to the library, it's okay. She wants to walk to her grandparents' house, it's okay. I don't have to worry. And that she's in an environment where there's good kids around her. and good people. And that's all what it's about to me.
Right.
And that's why so many of my generation have come back to Rutland for that reason. And we don't want to lose that, because we don't want to lose the next generations coming of our little kids and think, oh,
Well,
this isn't the place
quite
to be.
often, the children and the elderly particularly are forgotten. And
Can't do that.
these are the people that are on the sidelines. And today I was up at the Pleasant Manor, and they were talking about that they had a fight with somebody trying to prove that they were citizens of Rutland. And they're citizens of the world. They're citizens
course,
of everything.
of life.
Of life that they've lived, and sometimes we forget people like that that are in wheelchairs and they're stuck off in the places. And I'd like to I'd like to be able to get them more involved in the community, to do things like go to band concerts. And I've got some ideas on that.
Right, make them accessible so that they can attend various events.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
We also have a great deal of students at both MSJ and Rutland High School that got a community service they have to do. And they
I know
would make
that.
great chaperones.
Where they would make very good people to help.
And sometimes
And,
it's really amazing to watch the elderly senior citizen and the young teenager,
Teenagers, right.
how they interact
Correct.
with each other.
It's very good for both.
Yes, absolutely.
It's very good for both. It's a win-win situation. What else
Absolutely.
would you like to see happen?
Well,
You have some great ideas?
Well, you mean with that particular type
No,
thing?
no. And you have that, and you have several other ideas. What
Well,
else?
I think one of the things we were talking about the kids with the community service. Rutland used to have, a city we could have in Vermont, this Green Up Day.
Yeah.
And I think we should get the kids maybe a little more involved in that from the community. When I was running the mission, or the food shelf, I ran that for 14 and a half
Oh, you
years.
did? Yeah.
Before
So
I
important.
asked the churches to step in, and that's how they formed the community cupboard. And the kids were wonderful, but I didn't have the staff, I didn't have the time to dedicate to it. Now, Christopher Paul from the Episcopal Church, he's basically took the bull by the horns. He's a great guy, and he's got it going good. And he's contacted with David Walker, superintendent of schools, and the people down at Mount St. Joseph. And these kids have gone out, and they keep that food shelf full all the time.
Oh,
now.
it's so important.
And
I mean, that's why I started Project Easter Basket, because everybody
Right.
collects and they think of Thanksgiving and Christmas, but people have to eat every day of the year.
absolutely.
And they get hungry every day. And it's not just one meal, but how many meals do we eat? 2, 3, sometimes 4?
Well, one of the things, Patty, that I really think that I educated a lot of people in Rutland on, it was the summer. That people used to always give us all kinds of stuff at Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Right.
And you think of the bad weather. That's when you think of the poor, and that's when you think of the hungry, and that's when you think of this type of thing. Well, what happens is, in the summer, a lot of people don't have the hot lunch programs. The mothers,
schools are out.
Yeah, the schools are out. The kids are at home, and they eat more, and the money goes quicker. So a lot of times people need that help in the summer more than even in the winter.
Oh, I think so too.
Except that you'll run into the fuel problem in the winter with a lot of them.
How have you seen Rutland change in the last 5 years, John?
Well, economically, I've seen it change big. If you look, we've got a Walmart downtown. We've got a humongous Price Chopper. I understood they got an award the other day. I think
Really?
This Price Chopper has probably outdone themselves. Mark Boucher, who is the overall director of Price Chopper for Vermont, just shakes his head every time we talk about Price Chopper. He says, we've just, beyond our wildest imaginations, what we've done.
Right.
So we've got that down there. We've got that whole plaza cleaned up. Bob Reckner of the New England Teamsters, they came in and put $15 million down there. And that's one of the ways you've seen it change. People are changing in attitudes too. They're starting to believe in Rutland a little more. Attitude is important. What the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. And they're starting to realize that, the Pyramid's going to become a reality.
Well, it's well needed.
Yeah.
I just couldn't let this program go without assuming that you think we need a new city hall too. And we've just missed it by a hair the last couple of times, but tell us how bad it is. I want my viewers to hear what you experience on those Monday nights sitting there. Tell us.
Yeah, we've had the ceiling fall in and the air conditioning leaking down through, and you go in there on a night that it was 90 degrees and the air conditioner wouldn't work,
Right.
and you go in there in the night when you wanted to heat and the air conditioner would work. What we've run into there is we've split the ballot out this time. We've given people a choice,
Okay.
which is people have said that they'd like to see it that way. The police station is down to $1.9 million, and the city hall is down to $900,000. Now, I realize that that's still a lot of money, but when you look at it, the first year, if you had a house that you were paying taxes on for $100,000, the first year it would cost you about 80 cents a week to pay that off. That's what it's less than a cup of coffee, as I said the other night at Seward's. And then it decreases. So it's only something like $40 a year for a $100,000 home and 20 some odd dollars a year for a $50,000 home. In turn, we can get
Look what
the
you get.
police in a building that's not that old that they claim will fit their needs.
Well, we're
really
heading
gonna
into
second
21st century
Absolutely.
crime. We're not back to the crime of 20 years ago or even 10
Right.
years ago or 50 years ago. They've got to have the facility because your city government's only as good as the facility. It's not just the people. They got to have the facility.
And when you look, Patty, when you look
And
at
that the police are really, really
the city
cramped.
hall, if we take the police out,
Right.
then we've got a gap there. Now, what we've got to do in City Hall, a lot of it is you can't see. It's the wiring downstairs. One of the
Right.
reasons we couldn't put E911 down in City Hall and they didn't want it there was because it was in such bad shape.
Oh, it's
It
terrible.
was going to cost, $300,000-$400,000 just to get it up to code. And those people that work there, they're also in danger.
Right.
Because we've had a couple fires already downtown at City Hall and some
Well,
miscues.
even the lab and all of the things that people don't see to make a police department work are really housed downstairs.
You're right. So
And
we're
so-
going to move that over to the building, the old telephone building, and then fix, if we can get it, we'll fix up the department in there and make it a little nicer for people to come in. Also, one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is Rosemary Finley, the city clerk's office, really needs space for our vaults. Our vaults within the next 2 years are going to be full. And I don't think we're going to get a better deal. Now, we've had it at 3.941 and 3.9. Now we're talking combined 2.8. At 2.8, if we can do it, walk away with it for less than 80 cents a week.
It's a crime not to.
declining.
It's
It's
a
almost
crime
a crime not to, because sooner or later you're going to pay. You're going to pay
That's
now
right.
or you're going to pay later.
Yeah, and
that's
pay
what
in a
happened,
bigger
when
way.
when we did our schools, our high school,
Right.
we ended up paying a lot more because the price goes up.
Procrastinate, right.
So I really encourage people that if they can see their way fit to do it. If they can, I understand that, but we put it on the ballot. The police have cut it back considerably. We've cut City Hall back. In one night, we cut it back $300,000 because we know we can at least get it started.
Right. And let's just tell everybody how old the building is, the city hall and the police station's in now.
Oh, I'm not
over
even
100
sure.
years.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, just about 100 years. I think.
That's pretty antiquated.
Yeah.
I think another thing Rutland needs is a koozie unit.
What's a koozie unit?
What's a koozie unit? Well, take a drink. I'll tie my scarf. A koozie unit is something, it's called the Chittenden County Investigative Unit. And what it is there's a couple of them in the state. But they are a special unit set up for sex crimes. And most people don't realize that sex crimes are one of the most predominant crime here in Vermont. And it's directly associated with domestic violence and drugs and alcohol. But it's a special unit with a special area, office, away from a police station, where a victim or a child of a pedophile, victim of a pedophile or a rape, can go in a nice, lovely surroundings. You know, somebody donates a sofa and chair and you have a desk, and it's manned by a couple of law enforcement officers that are just dedicated to sex crimes in an environment that's more safe and homey, especially for children. And it's absolutely one of the most active. It's become so active in the last few years. It's new up in Chittenden County, the Cousy, and there's one up in, I believe, St. Albans, but we sure need one down here in Rutland.
You got me. I don't know. I know.
I got all kinds of ideas.
I know that we have one of the female officers that works in something like that.
Right.
Officer, I believe it was Officer Anderson.
Right, and David Shaw Walker too. But this has been very successful. And as I say, you take it out of an environment that's intimidating and scary, and you put it separately.
Of course, see, right now we don't have that kind of space.
Oh, but they just, what they did up in Chittenden was somebody, gave a couple of rooms in an office building separate from a police station, wrote it off. Somebody donated a sofa, a couple chairs, they put in a desk, they installed a phone, and they went with it. And it's not manned all the time, but at least it's there, and it's a unit unto itself, and very successful and really needed.
Yeah. Something to look into.
But something to think about.
Sure.
Well,
sure.
now that's a good mayor's answer.
Well, a koozie, I'm trying to think. A koozie, when you say koozie unit, I thought it was a Boston Celtics.
Oh, well, no.
Basketball team.
We're winding down a little bit, you see? An hour just flies right by.
Sure, when you're having fun.
Want to just make a statement to the viewers on you, John Cassarino, as mayor.
Just make a statement. Well, Patty, I just care about Rutland. I care about the people of Rutland. Care about the city of Rutland. And I think, Rutland's really given me a lot. And I'd like to have the opportunity to give something back to Rutland. And there's a lot of good people that could be mayor. But I don't think there's that many running. I think that of the ones running, that I'm probably the most qualified and the best candidate. I've got consistency. I've got experience. I have a wealth of knowledge of the city and history of the city. And I think if you put that all together, I think that's very important.
And something else.
I've got heart. Right?
And so much heart that a little birdie told me. I love little birdies, they come and they find they give me information. That at one time you actually went and lived on the streets with the homeless to see exactly what it felt like and what their needs were and exactly where they were coming from as human beings.
Right. I did that a couple times. I did it in 1984, and I came back and I was angry. I was angry at God. I was angry at the clergy. I was angry at the politicians. I was angry at everybody and everything. And I didn't understand why until I went back in 1988, 4 years later. It was like I left a piece of myself out there in the streets. And I went back, and this time when I went back, I spent a little bit more time, instead of looking at the bureaucracy and running into that, with the people. And I realized that I couldn't do nothing in Washington, and I couldn't do nothing in New York. But I certainly could do something in Rutland. And that's
very
what
important.
I came back. I think if you remember the story of the Good Samaritan, I'm sure you remember that story, the gospel story. And when I've talked at other times about that, I'll say to people, did the Samaritan stop because he was good? Or was he good because he stopped? Did he stop because he was good? Or was he good because he stopped? And when you stop and think about it, he stopped because he knew what it was like to be left on the side of the road and to be beaten and have people walk by him. And I think when you've experienced something in your life of rejection, or people that have said you can't do this, or people that have mistreated you, or you have a death or a divorce, a death of a relationship, you're more able to reach out to other people and feel what they're feeling. And that's the answer to the Samaritan. He stopped because he knew what it was like to be beaten and left on the side of the road. And I guess that's the way I feel. That's the way I look at a lot of things in life, is that I try to put myself in somebody else's place and say, where have they been? I sit in church some days at Immaculate Heart, and I watch the people that come up to communion, and you look at the people, and you look at all of them, and you say, look at this person here. He's had a stroke.
Mm-hmm.
Look at this person here, and you see the lines in their face, but they still got faith.
Right.
And, this one lost a son or a daughter, or this one here lost her husband, or all these different things.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at them, and I study them a lot, especially at church.
Well, you always sit right down front,
Well,
and I like that.
why
I
not?
think.
I
Well,
don't want to miss anything.
I know. So many people don't want to sit down front. What you're saying about the Good Samaritan reminds me of a couple of my favorite sayings. One is, there's no such word as can't. No such word.
Can't is won't.
Right. And the other thing is, you don't judge your success by what you've done, but by what you can do to help others.
Right.
Right.
I mean, I remember when I first took over the mission, and I was going to move down to Park Street, and the Reverend David Dean, who was
Congregational church. Right.
Congregational Church, came to me and he says, so-and-so says you can't move the mission down to Park Street. Or so-and-so says the mission can't be moved down to Park Street. And I says, David, so-and-so is right. He can't move the mission down to Park Street, but I can.
There you go.
And that's the way I've always looked at everything. What my mind can believe and conceive, I can
It can be
achieve it.
done. That's
Can
right.
be done. I'm a closer. If I get onto something, I stay on it. And I proved that with the mission. And maybe, God willing, I'll be able to show people that I can do a good job. And I don't mean to sound doubtful when I say
No, but
that,
I think confidence is a very important thing.
Yeah.
Here, and anybody who's just tuning in, I'm Pati Papineau, and with the frog. And this is John Cassarino with his cold, and he's up for the Rutland mayoral candidacy coming up shortly. I'm just a nobody. I'm just somebody that just is. What are you laughing at?
Everybody's somebody.
Well, I mean, I'm not going for a political office. But when I think of in my mind, and this is before I asked you to come on the show, what is it that makes a good politician, and especially a mayor that has to run a city successfully? Because if you don't do well, everybody's going to come down on your neck. They're not going to come down on the city assessor. They come down on the mayor.
The buck stops there.
That's right. And it's certainly, along with the compassion and understanding and the ability to listen to people and have a positive attitude and have a wonderful knowledge, because you have to have that, the president of the Board of Aldermen and what you've done in your background. But it also is something called understanding. And this man sitting here, above all the other candidates, has the understanding of what every citizen of the city of Rutland has experienced in their life, from a small child going through Rutland schools or the parochial school system, through someone that's growing up and come back, like myself, someone that's been very poor and destitute and given a very bad turn in life, and somebody that's been very successful in life. And in order to represent people and to run a city and run the city government, that to me has got to be the key responsibility of somebody who knows and understands the whole pie, not just a quarter of it or half of it, but the whole pie. And you certainly are that.
Thank you.
And it's just been a pleasure to talk with you, because we never really met before we turned on the cameras. And you're just a really warm, terrific person.
Thank you.
And I really can't think of anybody better to run the city of Rutland in the 21st century.
Well, you could, Patty.
I've thought of it.
Get involved.
It's not, well, I have to get involved. But no, the time is not for me. The time is for you.
Thank you.
And that's the most important thing. And I'm Pati Papineau. And when you see all of these little hearts around Rutland, these little red velvet hearts, remember, this is for John Cassarino.
Leadership with heart.
Leadership with heart, and the man has a big heart. And to me, that means more than almost anything in the world. Okay? Adios. My pleasure. Good luck coming back and cook with me.
Yes, absolutely.
I'll watch you cook and we'll talk.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah,
That sounds like
I'll show
fun.
you, yeah.
Okay?
You might have to give me a hand.
I got two. Now we're going to leave you. I thank you for bringing me into your living rooms, and also Mr. John Cassarino. We're going to go home and get well, And I'll see you next time, and be happy and drive safely. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Pati Papineau, and welcome to my show. This is a very important show, and probably one of the most important decisions that a woman can make in her life is going to talk about, is the topic of my show tonight. You know, for all of us, we can change boyfriends and spouses and careers and jobs and colleges and high schools, and we can change our residency, we can change our friends. But there's one thing and one decision that we make in our life that we cannot change, and we're going to explore that tonight, and the importance of some of those decisions and how it can affect you, and also the fact that we have a wonderful nonprofit organization here in the state of Vermont to help young women. My special guest tonight is Sue Richards, and she is the director of LAMS from Johnson, Vermont, and it is one of only 2 homes in the state for young women who are unwed mothers. And of course, the decision I'm talking about for a young woman is either you make the decision to have your child or to abort your child. And we're not talking about abortion tonight, we're talking about the alternative. But we're also talking about the fact that once you make that decision, you can't change your mind. And we can't take forever. A young woman simply cannot take forever to make that decision, because there's only 9 months involved, and it's very, very, very serious. And I'm just delighted that these 2 ladies came down from Johnson, Vermont tonight to participate in the show and to really explore what a wonderful opportunity we have at the Lambs home in Johnson, Vermont. So please welcome my guest tonight is Sue Richards. Hi, Sue, who is the director, and Vonda Dahl, who is the life skills director.
Yes.
And let's just start right off the bat. How long have you had the Lambs home in Johnson?
We've been in operation since 1991.
Okay.
And we operate right out of our own home. It's a home setting. So we built a good-sized home, and the girls live right with us.
And that's important, too. All right, let's take this from a scratch. A young lady finds out she's pregnant. Okay. What is the average age of the young woman that comes into your home to Lambs?
When we began, the average age was about 16, but it's kind of moving back towards 15 and 14, and I've had 3 14-year-olds.
Yes, younger. We want to also say that the home also provides a very Christian environment, but you do accept young ladies of all denominations.
Correct. That's correct.
And so at what point do you usually hear from a young woman?
Usually, especially if it's a high school student, we hear when she can't hide it from mom anymore, when her body has changed to the point where someone has noticed, and her pregnancy's come to somebody's attention.
So you're talking 3 to 4 months?
Yes, usually. Sometimes I will get a girl that's only like 5 or 6 weeks pregnant who has already informed the parents or the boyfriend, and her situation has changed dramatically and she suddenly needs housing. So I have had girls at all different stages. Some of them come 7, 8 months pregnant, so I never know.
You never know, of course. Now, let me ask you, in the average case, does the young lady call you? Do the parents call you? Does the minister or the rabbi call you?
It can come from a number of different places. I've had several different organizations call. I can get a call from a school counselor. Sometimes it'll be a church or mental health. Sometimes will call me. The Vermont Children's Aid Society has called. We are also SRS foster parents, so I get my girls from a variety of places, and some of them have been from out of state.
But that was my next question. You do not have to be a Vermont resident to go to Lambs, and you were welcome throughout your 9-month pregnancy there. Let's talk about an initial phone call is made. They speak to you as the director, Sue, and then we'll take it from there. What happens?
What we usually do is we offer them an interview. and they come up and see where they're going to live, and that usually helps the girl because they're kind of nervous to be coming and living in a strange home with people they don't know. And if their parents are involved, it's really good. It helps them to see where their daughter's going to be. And if they're still in high school, we take her to the school and, show her the school. We're very fortunate to have Johnson State College right in town with us. So if they're of college age, we offer them courses there they can take. And we usually just bring them in for an interview. We go over the house rules with them. And sometimes if it is a minor and it's a considerable distance away, we will go for temporary guardianship. And that is through the probate court, because I need to sign for their medical care, and they need to be able to go to, get into school, things like that.
What is a minor in Vermont? 16 or under 16 or under 18?
It's under 18.
Under 18. All right. So once they come to Lamb's home, they can go to high school. They
Correct.
get their schooling is involved. College.
Yes.
They can continue all of that. And then, how many young residents do you have? Can you first of all, how many do you have, and how many can you accommodate?
I can accommodate 4 or 5 tops.
Tops.
I've had 3 before. Sometimes I only have 1. Sometimes I'm empty. It kind of just goes.
It fluctuates.
My days change.
Is there any season of the year that you're busier than others?
No, they come about any time.
Get pregnant all the time,
Yeah,
right?
sometimes I thought maybe after the prom or something like that you might get a little burst, but it's anytime, year round.
Year round.
Pretty much.
Let's talk a little bit about the role that the parents have with a young lady. She decides she wants to come, and she might not want to come right away. She might come, as you say, the 7th, 8th, 9th month. The parents have visitation?
Yes, they do. We have a guest room where they can come and stay, and especially when it comes near time to deliver the baby. Sometimes mom can get there on time.
You mean, just to interrupt you for a minute, you said they can come and stay overnight, you're talking about?
Yes,
Oh, that's
they stay
wonderful.
overnight. They can stay for a whole weekend. We allow them to come in and visit. The boyfriends can come for a visit, but we house them in a separate home. There's a home for boys that's right around the corner from us, and they put the boyfriends up overnight.
That was my next question. The fathers of the children, of these unborn babies. Medical care, you work directly with a hospital?
Yes, we do. We have a birthing center on the hospital there. I don't know if I can name it or not, but
You can.
Okay, Copley Hospital, Morrisville.
Right.
It's a beautiful birthing center.
Does
And we work with the doctors there. We have 2 groups of family doctors who deliver babies. We also have a obstetrician right in town that take our girls, and it's really a very nice situation here. And we work tightly with them. And also Vermont has a new program out called Healthy Babies.
Oh.
And we are directly hooked to them and to the WIC program as well.
Yeah, the WIC is a wonderful program. I'd like to take this opportunity to read your philosophy statement because I think it's very profound. And your philosophy is, once a young woman is in a crisis pregnancy and makes a decision to carry her child, we as the body of Christ must be willing to assist her to build her spiritual life, to enhance her home environment, to support her through the months of pregnancy, and to help her move toward the decisions for the future of her child and for herself. The provisions of a Christian home environment during the young woman's stay gives her this support system. At the time she leaves the home, it is hoped that she will have learned how to establish a firm Christian support network and a good measure of confidence and maturity. Let's turn to you, Vonda. You are the Life Skills Director.
Yes.
What are the life skills that you teach?
Well, directly connected to this philosophy statement, we want the girls to graduate from the LAMS program equipped to care for themselves independently, to care for their child if they choose to keep their child. And so the philosophy of the life skills program is simply to educate them to live independently and to have the skills necessary to do that. So on a very practical level, there are things like child care, balancing a checkbook, we've done anger management, compiling a grocery list, etc., etc.
Well, how about just managing your life?
Yes, well, that's quite a task.
With a new little person right there.
Right, exactly.
When you're still really a child yourself.
Yes.
It's very, very difficult. Let's talk for a minute. Let's go back because there's probably going to be thousands and thousands of young teenage girls and young women in their 20s. What is the oldest that you would take a young woman?
We have a cutoff age of 24.
24.
I have had a 23-year-old.
Okay.
After 21, they are a little more independent, and you don't mother them as much. And it's easier, yet it's harder, because they're more set in their ways. But
you do take them beyond the teenage years, the formative
Yes,
teenage years. And amazing statistic that we just talked about a moment ago is the fact that the United States of America leads the Western world in unwed teen pregnancies. Now, I just found that to be absolutely amazing. When we have knowledge is power in our society, and we have social services, we have our churches, we have our schools, we have now AIDS, which unprotected sex, not just pregnancy, you can die. And yet we have all of these resources available to us in the United States, plus education, and yet we have the highest unwed teen pregnancies. That young girls simply don't seem to be getting the message. Don't do it. It's a very, very difficult thing. I have counseled young ladies myself in this. You have to realize that when you have this baby, you now have a responsibility for the rest of your life if you choose to keep this baby. And I got to tell you, and I'm sure that we go through this and you hear this all the time. What happens? You have a boyfriend, and all of a sudden it's love and great and wonderful, and then what happens? Because you touched on it briefly a few minutes ago, and there's a sudden crisis life change. All of a sudden, girls, you may not have that boyfriend anymore.
correct. That's correct.
You're pregnant. You're now a liability. He now is looking at paying child support for the rest of his life. When you ask, well, how can he pay child support the rest of his life? It's very easy. Even though he might not have a job at 14, 15, or 16, someday he'll have a job. And he's going to be paying you. And you'll be going to court. And he's got parents and sisters and brothers and friends that are saying, get away from her. You don't know her anymore. And you think, well, this isn't going to happen, that he really loves him. But don't you find that this to happen?
Yes.
And this is a very traumatic thing for a young woman.
Yes. The majority of them do leave her.
Yes.
Right there.
Oh, I would say probably 99%. In fact, I think probably of the thousands of young ladies I have counseled, I've maybe known one or two where the boyfriends actually stuck around.
Right.
And they didn't end up voluntarily paying child support. They still had to be taken to court.
Right.
So you have that issue, girls, to deal with. You have the issue that mom and dad might not be too thrilled, right?
Right.
So you have that. You have the fact that as you said, the body's going to change, and everybody's certainly going to know, and you're going to be the talk of high school. And then of all those physical changes, and we're all sitting here as moms, right? When I got pregnant, I didn't realize the physical changes. I realized the physical changes. I had no idea about the mental changes and the psychological changes. You cry at the drop of a hat, and you're furious the next minute, and all of the things that you psychologically go through that you have no idea. You're like a person you don't even know.
It's a complete physiological change. Even your hair changes.
Yes. So
They're not ready.
they're not ready.
No.
I was pregnant at 30. I wasn't ready. As much as you hear about it, you talk about it. So what advice would you give to parents who might be watching this show and to young girls who are watching this show?
I think it's important, even when the children are little, they are missing the consequences of actions. There doesn't seem to be as many consequences for actions. And I think teen pregnancy just kind of rolls right in with that. They are not thinking that there's a consequence of possibly producing life from this, relationship they've had. I found a lot of teenagers do not know how to have a relationship, basically. They're not sure what relationship is. So to them, sex is relationship, and of course it isn't. And the teens are just, I'm finding even junior hires, I go and I speak at schools, and they are just totally uninformed. They are getting their sexual information, a lot of it from the media.
Or
And-
other friends.
Yes. And, and it's always played up as glorious and wonderful, but they never show the aftermath. They don't show teen pregnancy and the pain and all things that go along with that.
Well, the trauma.
Yes.
It's a
very
great
traumatic.
psychological and physical trauma. You can lose your family, you can lose your friends, you can lose the man or the boyfriend. You can lose everything that you have.
Correct.
And you can lose it not over a period of months. You usually lose this over a period of a few weeks. So life as you know it is changed. So that's why, Vonda, what you do, I'm sure, is so important, because the young ladies need counseling by the time they get to the point of lambs, but they need it before too. What advice would you give to young girls who might be watching this program?
I would say make your choices based on the future, not the present. Think beyond tonight or this week. What do I want for my future? Does it involve a little person at 18 or 16 or 17? Do I want to go to college? Do I want to find a man that wants a little person tagging along in the relationship?
Very good point.
All issues that have to do with what I want down the road.
I'm so glad you said that, because that's absolutely true. You know, you choose to have a baby and you choose to keep your baby, and we're not advocating here abortion. We're not advocating keeping your baby, and we're not advocating adoption. But you need to realistically think that these are your options, and that's it, girls.
Yeah.
You have 3 options, and you don't have a lot of time to make those decisions because the law comes in and the state comes in and says you're over the period of abortion.
Right.
And if you can't handle your baby and take your baby, then that's what SRS and Child Protective and foster care is about. So you have to be able to think very clearly, and you're absolutely right.
And it's not easy to do in the heat of a moment, or if you're pressured, or everyone's doing it, I need to try to. But it's your future you're thinking about. Be concerned about what you want to do, not just your boyfriend or whatever.
Well, I think that's the bottom line, and I think that that's probably what you do the most. It's of all that you do that's so important is the fact that you now have a little person. Men and boyfriends in the future are going to be few and far between.
Yeah.
They don't want to be they can go date somebody else or be with somebody else that doesn't have a little person. And somebody has to worry about babysitters.
Yes.
And has the freedom to go out when they want to go out.
Yeah, new word for him.
Right. Am I right? Yeah. So this is so important. Your whole life is going to change. Let's talk a little bit about adoption here in Vermont. Everybody knows that adoption, the baby is given to a family. How does adoption work at LAMPS?
We are not an agency ourselves.
No.
But we do have couples on file. That we just do private adoptions. And there's Friends of Adoptions in Burlington as well. We work with them sometimes. And it is a private adoption, and we do counseling in-home. As far as making that decision, we have a course called Making Decisions. And then the adoption options, another one we use. And it just lets her weigh both directions, keeping the baby, placing the baby, what the pros and cons of both. And then a lot of the laws have changed in Vermont, just like in 1996. They have written new adoption laws, and we've kind of gone along with those. They need pre-adoption counseling by a certified counselor, and we go down to Burlington for that. And I always make a plan A and a plan B right up to delivery day. And after she's held the baby, and yes, I do have them hold the baby, even though the baby's going for adoption, I think they need to say hello and they need to say goodbye. And it gives them closure. Psychologically, needs that closure. And we go right down to the detail of who drives away first from the hospital. We have the mother drive away, not the adoptive couple. So no one is taking the child; she is giving the child.
I would assume then that the adoption and that process is done as you say, and not done at Lamb's home or in the young girl's home.
No, it's done. Usually,
it's done on the hospital property, neutral territory.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
I got to tell you that I knew of a situation where a young lady in New York State brought her baby home, had the baby home for 2 weeks, and the adoptive parents came to the house, and in the living room she gave the baby over. And I thought, that's really hard.
But it's
traumatic.
easier
Is it in some ways?
because you don't have such an audience. Sometimes it's hard to be emotional, and I do find open adoption is way more kind than it used to be of the closed cases. She gets to meet these people, know these people, interact with these people, see the people with their child, see their joy. It's like I get to see the baby born toys, you know,
Yes,
once naturally
sure.
by the birth mother, and then again to see the joy on the adoptive couple's face.
How long does a young lady, or does a young lady under Vermont state law have to change her mind if she gives a baby up for adoption?
She has 6 weeks after the signature to change her mind.
That's not long.
Yeah, actually, there's 21 days, like a determination, and legally, it would be quite a battle after 21 days to change it back around. But once the adoption is finalized, and it depends if it's interstate compact. In other words, if she's chosen a couple from out of Vermont, it's called an interstate compact, and they are quite involved. Usually takes a little longer to finalize those, sometimes up to 6 months.
Of all of the babies born and the young ladies who've been residents at your facility, lambs, what is the percentage of adoption as a percentage of the young ladies that have kept their babies?
We probably have a 2% adoption rate.
2%, so it's lower.
Everyone else they basically are keeping, regardless of the age or their living situation. A lot of them are choosing to keep. I do find that a problem and I'm working with our local high school, is to not allow the mothers to bring the babies into the high school, because then it's like a feather in your cap to have a new infant. And I find that leading to more teen pregnancies that are pregnant on purpose because so-and-so had a cute little baby. So
Somebody to love me.
Yeah. And a lot of them still have the children for that reason, without knowing the implications and knowing the legal things that they're facing as far as, visitation rights of the father.
Let's talk about those. Let's just
very
talk about those.
interesting.
Let's just talk about those. I assume, again, I assume a lot, I guess, here, but I would certainly say not only do you have counseling with Vonda, and you have the support system of the hospital and the obstetrician and the school and the college and all of that, but you certainly must have access to a lawyer, because there's lots of legalities involved here, and very, very, again, serious decisions that these young ladies must make. And they don't just make them for yourself. As you said, Vonda, you have to think about the future. And those decisions include your parents. They include the father, because now Mr. Father has rights.
Correct.
And may he not want rights right now, and he might not want to pay child support, but I'm sure that there's instances where you've had the father come knocking on the door and want to see the baby. And so let's just stop for a minute right there. You must also have good security.
Yes, my husband.
Well, I'm saying, but yes, I mean.
It's a secure home, and throughout the pregnancy, we make it known that visitation is acceptable unless it's a abusive situation. We do not allow that.
Well, it
in our home.
happens
We have
too.
a safe. We
Sure.
want our home to be safe and the girls to feel safe.
Of course.
A lot of the times, though, back at adoption, the fathers of the babies have to have the same pre-adoption counseling as the girls have, same number of hours. A lot of times they have to have their own lawyer as well, and they have to sign off just like the mother does.
So let's just say that again clearly. Here in the state of Vermont, if you choose to give your baby up for adoption, you must sign the paper, but the father must also sign the paper.
That's correct.
And that's the only way adoption can be legal in this state. Is that correct?
So there's no loose ends. Correct.
What happens if the young boy says, "Not my baby"?
Then we wait till the baby is born and we do the
HLA.
Yep.
And the DNA. Do we do DNA here in Vermont?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Vermont does it.
Let's just tell our audience and the young girls, it's called a paternity test. And the old days of when you put down on a birth certificate that Tom Smith was the dad doesn't mean diddly poop now.
That's right.
So just don't think you put somebody's name down, it means he's the father.
Actually, that's against the law now.
But it happens.
With charges. Yes.
I know, but it still happens. And they should be liable.
Yeah, they should.
But there is an HLA blood test. Do you want to talk about that?
I couldn't
know
do
that.
it knowledgeably.
Oh, I can. Can you?
I can,
You
yes,
can too. There's 2 paternity tests done in the United States now. The HLA has been done since the 1940s and 50s. That's the one that's most commonly done. It's the cheapest. It's only a couple $100.
Because the DNA is $700.
Well, it used to be $3,000.
It's getting down there then, I guess.
Yep. I know somebody that was one of the first paternity DNAs in the country, and it's only been done a few years.
Yes.
So when you talk about DNA in the O.J. Simpson trial, and you think about DNA for rape and murder, it's also done for paternity. It is more expensive. Is that required in Vermont, HLA and DNA, or can you just do an HLA here?
I'm not quite sure on that. I know that we are waiting now with one of our girls for the birth of the child for that, and I don't know what laws are abiding with it, but she is going to have the blood work done. Because it's important, because when they go back to family court, it has to be proven in court of law that he is indeed the father, and then the child support hearings will be after that.
I think that's something we need to say again. If your boyfriend is the father of the baby and he says, I'm not, and what would you say the percentage of the young girls you see that are pregnant, the boys say, I'm not the father?
Probably 90-95%.
Yeah, 95%, right?
Hi.
Hi.
Very high.
You're going to have to go to court, girls. You have no choice. And if you can't afford to go to court, then social services, or SRS here in Vermont, comes in, and you don't have to worry about paying for these blood tests. That's what I'm saying.
Correct.
It's not going to have to come out of your pocket or your parents' pocket. And a blood test is taken, and it's taken from you and your baby and the daddy.
Yep.
The three of you. And that's what the court says. They don't care what's on the birth certificate. They don't care what you say, and they don't care what he says, or what his parents say, or his priest says, or what his minister says, or what his buddies say, that night, oh, we were all out at the movies. It doesn't matter. It's the blood test. And it comes back on a percentage level. And so these are very important legal things to think about. And don't you think that's part of the future, too, that people don't, the young girls don't think about when you think
Absolutely.
about the legalities here? You don't have a choice, because it's not easy. The steps are made for you.
Right. And what if he remarries down, or what if he marries down the road, has his own family?
And he doesn't want your baby, and he decides he's not going to pay anymore? Suppose he has AIDS. Suppose you have AIDS.
Right.
Suppose you get married. And you have a wonderful, terrific guy, but he says, gee, it's not my baby, and I really can't. You really need, the father needs to support the babies.
Yes, it does.
I mean, he doesn't have to love you, he doesn't have to live with you, he doesn't have to marry you, but he better pay for your child.
Right.
Don't you agree?
I do.
We do have a case that the father has just now signed off, and the little girl's 3 years old, and both have now remarried other people. And the father of the infant has signed off all legal rights to her, and her husband has now adopted the child. So that is an option they have later.
That's all right. It's an option. You need to think about that, girls. But that's also more court battles, more lawyers, more expenses, much more involved. And at that point, you probably are not involved.
We do go to court with them.
Oh, you do?
Yes, if they're still with me. And sometimes, even if they've been discharged, if they're local enough, I will go and support them in court.
Okay. Let me also ask, in this interesting situation, the father signed off and the baby's now 3 years old. Where has this baby lived for 3 years?
And with her mother.
She's been with her mother, a single woman.
Yep,
Mother.
Kept the baby, and he had visitation rights, and her husband basically asked him directly if he could adopt a child, and he said, yes, you can.
And I think it would be fair to say that's a very rare instance.
Yes. Yep. Usually you share the lives right down the road. 2 sets of mommies and daddies right down the road.
So when, girls, you get pregnant and you have these babies, you must, if you don't go to Sue Richards and Lambs and talk to Vonda about your career choices and your future, you need to go to somebody. You need to go to your Catholic Charities, or your priest, or your minister, or your rabbi. You need to go to SRS. You need to go to your school counselor, your school nurse, somebody that's a mental health counselor. These are serious decisions that you cannot make alone at 14, 15, 16, even 18 or 20 years old. These are serious decisions that will affect your life for the rest of your life. And you are going to be looking at legal issues and going to court. And it is not pleasant. You're going through a pregnancy, you're going to be sick, you're going through labor. It's very painful.
Amen.
Amen, Mom. 4 times.
Yes.
Very painful.
Yes.
Come home with this little bundle.
Mm-hmm.
When I
That
came
cries
home,
all
That
night.
cries all
all
night.
night,
Yes,
and
that
could
is
be
such
sick
a reality.
and have colic and all kinds of problems. I never held a baby in my life until I was handed my own daughter in the delivery room.
Wow.
And I didn't know how to change a diaper.
Scary.
Well, I'm an only child, so I never grew up babysitting or with siblings. It was very scary. It's very, very difficult.
It's a lot of work.
And then you have mommy and daddy. Now, of all of the experiences you've had with your young ladies, the baby is born. Do most young ladies go home to mom and dad? Do they go out into the world and get their own apartment?
It really depends on their age, how mature they are, if they've graduated from high school. We also help girls get their GED. If it looks like they're going to be in high school till they're 21, we help them get their GEDs. Don't laugh. So I think the biggest reality check was a 14-year-old I had once, and we discovered with the grade she was in school that her child would get on the same school bus she did when she was a senior, and that about blew her away. That was a real reality check. So it's a parenting. You need to, don't be afraid to ask for help and learn how to parent the child, because that is an individual. And what you do in their first 2 to 3 years of their life forms their personality
Oh, for the rest of their life.
for the rest of their lives.
For the rest of their
So you really do need to do some serious thinking and, you know, ask for help. They have parenting classes through the state and through family centers. And Lamoille County has Family Center has classes you can take. And we do parenting skills right in the home. That's why we keep them. After
Well,
delivery.
I think everybody needs parenting skills, not if you're unwed, because what example do we have? The way we were brought up. And I think we all need to improve some of the things that we learned of how our parents handle anger and temper and all kinds of things
Yep. Absolutely.
that are very, very important. How many people on your staff at Lambs?
Well, like I said, they live with my husband and I at our house. We are the house parents. We have 7 on a board of directors. As far as staff goes, it's the house parents are the staff. We do have people that come in that are respite workers. And
And what do they do?
they give us a night out, sometimes a whole weekend.
Wonderful.
Yes, so we can get away. Because I have my own children.
Oh, you do? How many children do you have?
I have
Sue?
3.
How old?
I have twin boys that are 20.
Oh, my.
And I have a girl that's 14. And she kind of needs me a lot. You know, she's going through adolescence herself, and having mom to herself is important. We do family time. So we schedule that. When we do the girls' scheduling, we put family time in. And, you know, we do something else for them constructive, give them a movie to watch, or let them go to a friend's house or whatever. So we have some time apart from each other. Because sometimes it can be rough living in a group home.
Well, certainly if you're not used to it and you're living with people you really don't know and you've been kicked out, oftentimes they are kicked out of their own
Literally.
homes. Really, I mean, it's cruel and awful as it says. Parents just say, get out. We don't want you.
I've gotten them from homeless shelters and parking lots, and you wouldn't believe where I found the girls.
Really? Do you find that your young ladies stay in touch with you after they leave the home? And
Yes, they do.
It's like a family?
Yeah. A lot of them, I may be the only mother image they've had. My husband, for sure, is sometimes the only father image they've ever had. And he gets Father's Day cards and things from the girls. And we get letters back and callbacks. I mean, I have girls from way back in 1992 that are still calling me. You know, could this be codependent? I was like, yeah, it is. Very good. And they, you know, they call back and they're rechecking on some of the counseling they got. And or if they're stuck, I just say, you know, I understand I got this big control thing again. And yeah, we'll over the phone it. Yep. And we're working on having a reunion. The girls would like a reunion. Some of them all get together and see their kids and things.
Do you also find that, and probably this is more a question for you, Vonda, that after the girls have their babies, they do come back, they can have the option of coming back to the home, to Lambs, for a certain period of time to get adjusted and situated with this young infant, or maybe 2?
Hasn't happened yet.
No doubles, no triples, no triples.
But I'm ready.
Do you find that the young ladies now have learned through this tremendous experience that they're now more responsible for themselves and their bodies and interested in birth control and being careful who they become involved
Well,
with?
that's more a question for Sue, but I would say no.
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 Not
So they go through all
usually.
this terrible thing and they still are...
Again, it depends on their maturity level, depends on their personality types, what their situations are at home. It is very, very difficult for the girls to go back home and be celibate, especially if the father of the baby's still around. They fall back into old patterns of, you use sex to get acceptance and love. And that is a hard pattern to break. And that is one of the reasons that we really center on their sexuality. We do a timeline with them, try to see if there's any sexual abuse in the back. That really colors your sexuality forever, unless you go back and deal with those things. And we use forgiveness principles and help them get healed from those wounds so that their sexuality is closer to what normal should be for them.
Do you see that a large percentage of the young ladies who keep their babies and don't get them up for adoption go back to their homes, go back to their families?
Sometimes they'll go back to the town they're from.
The town, but they don't go back in mom and dad's house, per se?
I've had a few
You do?
where mom and dad just couldn't support them, and they came, and actually they wanted the girl to come for counseling. And like I say to the girls, it's like an opportunity to stop your world, get off, and look. Say, how did I get here? How do I not come here again? It's a rare opportunity. We say that during the interview. This is a rare opportunity for you to just stop and take inventory here. What am I really doing with my life? Where do I want to go? We have them do 1 and 5 year planners and things like that. But they go back. Sometimes they'll go back to the same boyfriend, and that's kind of heartbreaking. We see that. It's like,
Really?
oh no.
But don't you think that really doesn't last very long? They might go back to him, but as far as ending up in a marriage and a wonderful environment, doesn't always happen?
Actually, to have dated other people,
Right.
and then gone back to the father of their baby as they've matured and gotten older, and they've actually married the fathers of the baby.
Yeah, but 2 since 1991 isn't...
not a lot. Like I say, it's not a big percentage. Usually
No.
the father of the babies are gone. And I am finding lately that the father of the baby, she is not the only one who is pregnant out of wedlock. He'll have 2, 3, 4 children out there out of wedlock all at the same time. Where the girl we're dealing with, I guess it was... I think he had like 3 children all in the oven at the same time.
Really? Quite the boy, huh?
Oh.
And how old was this
he
young
was
man?
16 years old. And
Wow.
I said to...
3 young girls pregnant
one of the
at
organizations I was working with, I
different-
said there should be
at the same time.
some legal thing. I don't know if it's statutory rape really might go that far, but he
Well,
needs
that-
to be held accountable
in
for what
other
he's doing.
states. In other states,
Mercy.
if you get a young woman pregnant and she's under 16, that they have been prosecuted
Yes.
for statutory rape.
Yep.
Another thing, another legal issue
Yes.
that the young lady must face, and it really isn't her decision, oh, I love him and he loves me. This is when the state police and your local police come in and your
They
state's
can get
attorney
ugly.
comes in and says, I'm sorry, honey, you're under 16, this is the law.
Yes. Yep. Even if she can say, I said yes, I did this on my own, the law wins.
The law
And they
always
have
wins.
no concept of what they're messing with, really.
So young boys could be looking at jail time here,
Yes.
literally.
Mhm.
Not a good situation.
Not a good one at all.
I know that you said that you had a lovely letter from one of your young girls. Would you
Yes.
like to read
Oh,
it
I'd
to
love
my
to read it.
viewers?
Yes.
Let's do that.
This is one she gave us. Oops, the light's not here. She wrote this to our board and made me promise not to read it till then, so I was going, oh boy, what'd she write?
Of course, confidentiality and privacy is a
yes.
very, very
Yeah.
important part of LAMS, and you should know that. So the writer of this shall remain anonymous.
Yes, I won't say her last name.
Only Sue Richards and the writer of this letter knows.
Correct. This is, Dear Lambs Board, by being at Lambs, I learned a lot of things and did a lot of things. I learned how to budget my money and get things done that needed to be done, even if I didn't want to do them. I learned about God and what He can do. Dave and Sue taught me a lot of things. Sue taught me about God and made me understand how I ended up pregnant at 16. She helped me correct my sexuality and made me realize that there were good guys out there that would want me, not for sex. I respect my body better now. I know now that it's not a toy or a piece of gum to be used and then thrown away. Dave was a father figure to me. He helped me make me realize a lot of things. It always made me feel good when he said he was proud of me, or taught me something as little as a shortcut on the computer. They were computer buffs. It made me feel special when he told everyone he was proud of me for getting my GED and setting my goals and attaining them. He will always be an extra special person in my heart. I've learned to set goals and plan on carrying them out. If I hadn't moved here, I wouldn't have gotten my job and my GED. LAMS is a wonderful program, and I would recommend it to anyone. Can't read her writing says. It's even helpful and I can't read her writing here. It's a helpful and loving home. It's like a real family. They make you feel like a true part of their family. Sincerely,
Miss A.
Miss A.
We'll call her Miss A. What a lovely, uplifting letter. It really, she
That was encouraging.
hits it all. Yes, it makes it all very gratifying for you. We should state again that you are Vermont State certified and licensed, and that you are a nonprofit organization, so that you are the directors, you and your husband, you are run by a board of directors,
Yes, we are.
and you don't have to pay. You don't you don't have to come in and feel that it's going to cost you or your parents, or you have to pay a lot of money to come. It's very, very expensive. That's not what it's about. What it's about is the philosophy I mentioned at the opening of the program. You're here in Vermont to help young women who are pregnant. And of course, very, very important part of that, one of the life skills that you do, is setting up the financial responsibility.
Right.
You're not going home maybe to mommy and daddy who are paying the bills. You might have to get an apartment. Even if you go back to mommy and daddy, you might be getting a WIC check or welfare.
Yep. Yep.
And people say, isn't it terrible that young ladies today have to go on welfare? But if you think about a young girl at 14 years old, she's got a new infant. Can she go out and get a job?
No, they can't work to the 16.
You can't work till you're 16 here.
We do have a reimbursement fee that we suggest, and we do that to try to break the welfare mentality of the girls. We don't want them to think it's a free ride. We do suggest a certain amount per month reimbursement fee for room and board, and in that way we help teach them. We say, now you need to be able to manage this, because when you go out and get your own place, this is just a drop in the bucket.
Oh yeah.
And it's a substantial amount, but not a lot. And we have had girls that have full scholarship where they just are either unable to work, and of course then we don't charge that. But we do right up front tell the parents and all, we want them to know, and that's going to cost something, but I feel that things that cost you something mean more to you than just a handout. And so we try to change their philosophy by making them responsible.
Well, it's about responsibility.
Yeah.
Financial
Whole thing is,
responsibility and emotional and moral responsibility to yourself and to the child that you are carrying. But as far as welfare is concerned, I just want to touch on that a minute, is that there isn't a lot of options here for young women who get pregnant, for these young girls. They can't get a job. Mom and dad kick them out, or mom and dad say, I'm not supporting you, or can't always support you and another infant, a child. And maybe mom and dad both work, and you want to go back to school. Who's going to babysit this baby? Who's going to pay for the formula? God forbid you have to have special formula. Your baby's ill, and you're in an expensive situation here. So that's what the system is there for, to help you, not to keep you on it. But the bottom line is here, whether you have the resources of the state temporarily, or whether you're going to get a job, or maybe you're going to be the lucky one and that boyfriend is going to come in and say, here's $100 a month, or here's $100 a week for you and your baby, and I'm going out and date somebody else, but I want to take care of my baby because that's my moral and legal responsibility. If you're one of the you still have to be able to manage your money.
Right.
Correct.
Exactly. And at 13 and 14 and 16, that doesn't come easy. Well, at 30, it doesn't come easy.
It doesn't come easy at 30.
It takes training,
Right.
and that's part of what we're about. We want them to succeed when they leave LAMS.
Well, that's the most important thing.
Right.
Correct.
And how many kids today at 13, 14, 15, 16 can manage their babysitting money?
Right.
I don't know any that can. Excuse me. I knew one little girl, who started working and doing odd jobs in the neighborhood at 9 years old, and by the time she was 14, she had $20,000 saved.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
It was unbelievable. She's now one of the top cardiac pediatricians in the United
No
States.
surprise.
She knew what she wanted right from the start.
Right from the start. But that's very, very rare. Most kids get money and they're blowing it on CDs or makeup or whatever.
We do have to correct that. It's a continual thing. We need to help them correct their priorities, their life priorities they don't have.
Well, and the credit card companies shove cards at them at 18.
Oh, please.
Oh, yes.
Oh, don't
So
get me
the
going.
credit is
Yeah,
off the
oh,
roof
yes.
by the
How
time
many-
they're 20.
Yes, by the time they're 20 or 24 years old, they're $40,000
They're over their
in
head.
debt.
Yeah.
And they promise everybody they'll pay, and there's no way to pay.
It's
And they have no
impossible.
concept what's going to happen to them after
No.
90 days, and they're turned over to collection agencies. So we go through all that.
Oh,
believe me,
yes.
it's part
So
of
they
it.
need to understand. I've often said all my life that as wonderful as our American high school system is, now I'm going to get phone calls and letters for this statement, but I'm going to tell you what I think. I've always said we do not bring up our children to be responsible adults.
Correct.
And when they're in junior high school, they should be getting every bank in your city or your community should be coming in, and one person should be teaching how you balance a checkbook.
I agree.
And every checkbook with every bank is different. So when I change accounts myself at my age, and I'm not 22, I'm confused. I got to figure out now. The ledger's a little different. How to balance a checkbook, and how to do what do you call it? A budget. And not a budget for a year, but a budget for a month. You make $1,500 a month. You're not going to pay
Right.
$750 for a car payment
Right.
or an apartment. But our kids don't understand that.
Right.
They have no concept.
The
Even in
system's
high
failing
school,
someplace.
something's wrong. And I think that trigonometry and all of this high calculus, it's wonderful. I took it myself. I've never used it since. But I would have been very happy and much more prepared for as a mature, responsible adult if somebody taught me how to balance a checkbook the right way and set up a budget the right way when I was in high school and could understand it.
Lemoyle Union does offer a wonderful class. It's called Quest, and they do that.
Who does that?
Lemoyle Union High School
Well,
does that.
Then you're about one of the only ones that I've ever heard
It's
in my
a
life.
great class and a wonderful teacher, and she teaches basics: how to get an apartment, what is the lease all about,
Right.
how do
The
we do this?
legalities of the lease.
Oh,
You can't get
yes.
out of it. But you pay up front. And
So if my girls aren't high school age, because some of my girls have gone through there, I use the same stuff at home and teach them that at home because it's so important.
Oh, it's so important. And the same thing in high school, they teach what a mortgage is and what CDs are, short-term investment, long-term investment. What's the stock market? How does it work? What does it mean? I don't think that the life skills are those kinds of skills that we all need as adults are taught. So the fact that these young girls now certainly have a life that they're bringing into the world that has to be fed and paid for.
Right.
And sometimes your little baby shoes, you outgrow shoes in 2 weeks' time.
Yes, you do.
Yes.
And if you've blown all your budget money on movies
Coke
and candy,
movies and candy and pizza.
and baby has no shoes, then what? Yeah, but that's real life.
Right.
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 That's what everybody has to face.
So in a nutshell, I would say we are trying to get them a
keep
reality check.
I
know
keep
you
dropping my little
your
watch,
timer.
and I notice my head keeps bopping in front of me. I try not to take away your thunder. I'm sorry. But I have to know my time.
Yes, I know. I'm there looking at it on before.
But, I mean, that's a very important part of what the young, and probably, I would say, of all that you do is so wonderful, that's probably one of the most key, because even if you give up your baby for adoption, you still got to pay for yourself in this world.
Yeah. And I just want to add to this program, too. I am not the only one that teaches these skills. I have invited a roster of, I have 11 ladies now, personal acquaintances or people I've been aware of that model good homemaking skills, good parenting skills, because I want this just to not be teaching a skill, but to build a bridge between that role model and that girl. So there's almost a mentoring relationship going on. This girl knows, hey, I have someone else in my corner too. She wants me to succeed. And so I really see the benefits as several-fold, not just the skill itself, but garnering support from other areas as well. And I think it is effective. You know, they see them in the community. Hey, I know that lady. She taught me how to do a grocery list.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the importance of groceries and nutrition. Now you have a baby. Oftentimes babies are colicky or sick or have allergies. And all of a sudden they can't eat certain cereals, most formulas. So that's where you kick in also.
And what do teenagers live on?
Nothing.
Potato chips and
chips.
soda.
Chocolate.
Yeah, really. I mean, nutrition
Really?
is a big part
Yes.
of it that
We do that.
they don't think about yet. But you've got that little life, and they do. They have to have all the nutrients. Yep.
And they have to have it regularly.
Right.
And WIC is good in that area, too.
WIC
they
is a
really
wonderful
teach.
program. You know, it's WIC. Let's touch on it just for a minute. It's a national funded program from the federal government. And what it is, it's for all children under 5 years old. And if it's low-income parents, and you can be married. And it gives you all your milk and eggs and cheese and juice and cereal. And what you can do, you just, I guess you get a little check in the mail, and you can pick out whatever cereal.
Actually,
Well, actually,
to your door now.
do
in
they
Lamoille
really?
County.
See,
They didn't want people swapping the money for other things. And I guess, I don't know if that was happening or what, but now they deliver it right to our door. And he's always amazed how much stuff he drops off at my doorstep. You know, he looks at my house now. How many people do you have living here? Oh, I have a few. So, but they do. They bring it right to the door. And they also, along with that, there's a public health nurse that comes and visits and sees what she's eating, and the three of us will talk, she's not doing real good in this department or whatever. And we will continually reinforce nutrition because they're building this baby's body.
and they have repairing their own
Yeah.
because the trauma of childbirth is a lot.
Yeah.
We'll all sit here in three and say childbirth is not easy. It's a traumatic experience. And I once read that an obstetrician had written an article, I believe it was in the AMA, was that after 2 or 3 months you're okay, and after 6 months your body's repaired more. But it takes 1 whole year for the woman's body to repair after the trauma of a vaginal childbirth. That's a long time.
Yeah. it
Until
is.
after you go through it and you realize. We're getting down on time, and it's so fascinating because we could go on for hours and hours. Because you are a nonprofit, anyone who wants to volunteer should call you, Sue. You volunteers of people who are drivers and help the girls and counsel them, or give them moral support, or teach them some of the life skills we talked about, setting up a budget, or diapering your baby, caring for your baby. Any lawyer that would like to help and volunteer his services, it's very, very important. That's one of the keys to getting our young unwed mothers off welfare, is to get these guys paying child support. I'm very adamant about that. It's his baby, he should pay, whether he says he wants to or not. That's too, you never hear the defense, I didn't have a good time, I didn't enjoy myself.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one yet.
Have you heard that one? No. So any kind of volunteer work that you would love to have ladies help, and I'm sure that there's just oodles and oodles of things that could be done. Also in other communities here in Vermont, these homes are wonderful. They're needed. If you would like to establish a Lambs type home in your community, please call Sue and Vonda, and they will help you get established and set you up and give you your guidelines.
We actually have a pack for that.
And you have a pack for that, so that's a wonderful thing. And certainly if anybody would like to donate maternity clothing, baby blankets, baby clothing, infant clothing,
0 to 3 months.
0 to 3 months. And let's give the address here. Want to give your address?
Yes. It's 352 Maple Hill Road, Johnson, Vermont, 05656.
I guess in closing that we need to say that the most important thing I would think that was needed is a loving environment.
Yes.
Above all. And this is what this wonderful woman, Sue Richards, does, and her husband together are the directors for Lambs. It's a very, very difficult time in your life. It comes upon you faster than you realize, and to know that there's people there that love you and care about you and will see that you get to your doctor appointment, your prenatal appointment, see that you get your prenatal vitamins, see that you get your ultrasound done, see that if your boyfriend is mean or abusive, or that he's not going to be calling you and hanging up and knocking on your parents' front door, that there's love and support. So I think that what you do is very, very much needed, and you need to be commended for it. And I'm very happy to have had you as a guest on my show.
I appreciate you asking.
And I appreciate that you offer this service to the young women, not only in Vermont, but of other states, and in a very small, loving environment, which are not in, as you say, it's in your private home.
Correct.
I must say right here, I've never been. We did have a little tape tonight of the house, but it kind of got chewed up in the machine, so we weren't able to include it on. But
They can come see it anytime.
I do know one of your board of directors is a very close personal friend, and I only hear wonderful things about the work that you do, and it's so needed. And if we as parents and Vermonters and individuals and mature adults could take on the responsibility of raising our children to be responsible teenagers, and to realize that the best road is abstinence, and that the longer that you can go in a relationship with a young man without having sex, the better off you're going to be to have a long-term or permanent commitment out of him. And that is part of what this is all about, because if you don't have sexual intercourse, you won't get pregnant. If you don't have sexual activity, you won't get AIDS. You won't get a sexually transmitted disease. And therefore, you won't be bringing a life into this world when your life is really just beginning. I don't know how to say it any more clearly than that. If you have any questions, go to your school nurse.
Absolutely.
Go to your school guidance counselor. Try to do what you feel is the right thing to do. And above all, call my friend Vanda and Sue Richards at Lambs in Johnson, Vermont. And most of all, think carefully.
We have an 800 number.
And you have an 800, well, let's have an 800 number.
Okay, it's 888-4-MOMS-2B.
Oh, I like that.
That's easy for
Terrific.
them to remember.
Let's say it again. 1-800-4-MOMS-2B.
888. 1-888-4-MOMS-2B.
Oh, 1-888. Okay.
Yes.
So just remember that you don't have to come to Lambs. You don't have to be a resident at Lambs. But Sue and Vanda are here to help you and answer some questions and maybe give you some guidance. And they know all kinds of people throughout the state, and their board of directors come from all over the state. So it isn't people just in Johnson, Vermont. And you can get help. There's help out there. But moms and dads and adults, we need to take responsibility too, so that our children are educated and are able to do the right thing and make the right decisions at this crucial time in their life. This is a very passionate subject for me. I believe in teens. I believe in abstinence for teens. And I think that I believe in the Lord. And I believe that we need to really think very, very carefully, all of us, because this is epidemic proportions in the United States of America, and it's a shame because it should not be and it doesn't have to be so medically advanced that we can transplant hearts and livers and artificial hips and knees, and yet we have this explosion of unwanted teen pregnancies that nobody seems to control because kids are going out and having sex irresponsibly is a shame. So I think I've talked enough. It's a very impassionate subject. I'm Pati Papineau. I appreciate you bringing me into your living rooms. I'm very grateful to Sue Richards from Lambs and to Vanda Dahl, who is also from Lambs, who is a social skills director. And until next time, please be happy and drive safely. Hi, I'm Pati Papineau, and welcome to my show. I'm continuing my series profiling the Vermont State Police. I have two guests on my show today, and my first guest is Captain Tom Palovich and also Major Valley. Now, you may notice that this show will be a little more unique because I don't have the Vermont State Police banner up. And as Major Valley just said, that was done so his show would be most unique. I'd love to see the expression on his face at this moment. Anyway, my first guest is Captain Tom Palovich. Hi, Tom.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. And we want to tell everybody a little bit about you. You were born in Greenfield, Massachusetts, and you are currently pursuing a a degree in college at Trinity College in criminal justice.
Yes.
And currently, you are the troop commander in Troop A, which is all of Williston, and that's one of the most busy barracks in the state of Vermont.
Well, Troop A really consists of all of Franklin, Grand Isle County, Chittenden County, Addison County, and also Lamoille at this time. My office is in Williston office.
Williston. So what is it like to be the commander of Troop A?
A lot of work. Very, very enjoyable. Dealing with troops out in the different stations, the three stations that we cover, which are stationed in St. Albans, in Williston, and also down in here in Addison County in Middlebury.
Where we are today.
Yes, we
Where
are.
you just left.
We just got done
Iverson's
a
office,
troop
right?
commanders meeting, yes,
Yes.
here in Middlebury office, yes. Where all the troop commanders got together with the major.
So this happens periodically,
Yes.
and you travel to various barracks where you have this meeting around the state?
Yep, there's 12 stations around the state, and we make it a point to get to each one of our stations. We have one meeting a month in which the 4 troop commanders get together with the major and discuss business, what's going on, get information out of headquarters, and then disseminate it to the field.
That's great. So you do, with all these counties that you're responsible for, a substantial amount of travel, right, Tom?
Yes, again, my office is in Williston, but I think one of my jobs is to support all the troops in the 3 different offices that we have. So I try to get out to each one of those offices to see the troops out there, see the dispatch staff. Again, talking to the different lieutenants that are out there also. Also working with our criminal division and seeing how we can support them and such.
Should we tell the audience how we met? We can do
How
that.
do we-
How
well,
we
yeah,
met.
go- you
I was
go
up
right
at
ahead.
Williston, right?
Right.
And you were walking around. I was looking for somebody, and you said, well, who are you looking for? And so you made a phone call. And by the way, you gave that message directly what I said
I gave the message
for O'Leary.
right to O'Leary.
You were
right,
very
that's
specific
right.
on
Yep.
that message.
Yep.
That came back
The
to me.
fact that he was supposed to be there meeting with you, and he was on a day off, I believe. So
Yep. Yeah, he got back to me on that. Anyway, I looked at your back and said, Palovich, I was looking for you. But here you are, the troop commander, and you were so kind to take time to ask me and to help me and to make the phone call. And consequently, we met and we were able to, have our talk and meet. But anyway, you were very accommodating, and I was very impressed that you
Well, I
took
like
the
to
time.
think that no matter what rank you are in the organization, I mean, our job is to be out there to help people, and it doesn't matter who you are or who you are in the public. If you've got an issue, we should be trying to help you.
Well, I think that exemplifies Vermont State Police, and that's why I wanted
you
to
very
bring it
much.
up, because lots of times people think, oh, somebody's a commander or a captain or whatever, and you don't bother them or you don't talk to them or they aren't willing to help you. But see, and here, you didn't know who I was. I was just
No,
this
you were
female
standing in the hall,
standing in
looked
the
like
hall
you were a
looking.
little lost, and just trying to help you out.
I was just looking, and I do appreciate that. Let's go a little bit back, if we can, Tom. You started at Vermont State Police in 1977
Yes.
in Rutland
In Rutland, yes.
and Castleton, Rutland area. And then 1982, you became a sergeant right here in Middlebury.
Correct. Transferred to Middlebury.
And then 1987, you became a lieutenant, and you were at headquarters as a training officer.
Yes.
And 1989, of course, you became captain, and you were director of training in Williston and headquarters. And then 1996, you became the captain in the position you have now, which is a Troop A commander here in Williston.
You make 19 years just fly right by.
I can do better than that. You ought to see what I can do with 29 years. So talk about, now Williston, how many uniform officers and BCI people do you have up there?
Excluding myself, there's 24 uniform members and 5 BCI that are in. BCI is the Bureau of Criminal Investigation, or detectives, or plainclothes people that are housed there. There's also one sergeant that is housed in Coosey, which is the Chittenden Unit of Special Investigations, and that is located over in the Fort Ethan
Right, they
Allen
have a
over-
special offices. Now that is with Sheila Goss, and those are basically the sex crimes that are
Basically
handled.
the sex crimes,
that right?
and each there's several departments that have committed people power
Social
to that.
services and district attorneys and all of that.
Well, several police agencies
And
that,
police
that
agencies,
have
right.
officers assigned to that. Burlington PD has a responsibility of overseeing CUSI, and there's a regular board that oversees the operation, and they basically take care of all the sexual assault type complaints that come into any one of the police agencies in Chittenden County.
Well, it's sort of a double-edged sword, isn't it, Tom? It's too bad that there is enough in the sexual assaults to warrant a special office. However, it's wonderful that we have this special office, that these officers can devote this kind of time for investigative purposes.
That's true, and they do. They're highly trained, very specialized, so they do an excellent job in what they're doing. So there is the benefit, unfortunately, as you said, that having the need for it, but again, they're very qualified individuals.
And work closely, of course, with my close friend, Karen Bradley.
Yes.
And we all know what wonderful work she's done with her Center for
Yes.
Prevention of Sexual Abuse. So we are now here at up at Williston. And dispatchers? How many dispatchers altogether?
We have 6 dispatchers in the office in Williston, 6 up in St. Albans, and 5 here in Middlebury.
It's a lot.
Yes, but
And
they are
you-
vital
Oh,
to our operation.
absolutely. And the first contact that the public has with a barracks or a station.
They are. Anytime a call comes in, it's going to be the dispatcher that's answering them. Anytime they walk into the office, usually it's going to be a dispatcher that they're going to be talking to
This is true.
before they pass off a complaint to the troopers.
Very vital, important people.
Yes, they are.
How many are women?
Ooh, it's better to say how many are
How many are
there.
men?
All right. One man,
One.
one male. Yes, and the rest are women.
Well, how many of your uniform 24 are females?
Uniform, that would be in Williston, there would be one.
One.
One, and then 2 in St. Albans, and 2 in Middlebury.
2 in Middlebury.
Yes.
Ruth Whitney, of course.
Ruth and Mary Ellen Francis
Mary
are
Ellen.
sergeants here. Yes.
Right. Could you define the role of a captain?
Role of the captain. Role of the uniform captain, I feel, is primarily to support the people that are out of my stations. I mean, I have the job of taking information that comes out of headquarters, such as a meeting like today, and passing that information on to the 3 different stations, to the lieutenants there. Also taking information to them or from them, passing that on up to headquarters, making change, in our geographical area, and just ensuring that we provide police services to all those areas that we cover.
You, of course, are on a beeper.
Yes.
And so our viewers understand that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if there is a major crime,
Usually
You're there.
we will be notified. Our procedures have it that the troop commander will be notified. On the weekends, we do have a setup where there is zone duty officers, and zone being that the state is basically broken in half, and with a north and a south, and each officer holding a rank of lieutenant or above takes an assigned weekend, so they are the one that is ultimately responsible if an office cannot locate either the station commander or the troop commander. But most of us, if it's a major event, especially involving one of our people, really want to get there to ensure that everything is going properly.
what is your response time? And you have all of these several counties you are commander of. What is the longest response time that you might have? An hour drive? 2-hour drive?
I'm very fortunate because I'm really about in the center of my area. I live in Jericho, and so I mean, the most I would have would be probably an hour, and then maybe to
That's not bad at all.
get to Orwell or something like that. Yes.
I see. What are the various special units that you have in Williston, Barrett?
Special unit. I mean, I don't understand.
Well,
what
like you
mean
have
by special
canine
units.
or crowd control.
Oh,
and-
well, I mean, I don't think it's specific to, Williston office. I mean, each office has personnel in the office that are assigned to special teams. I mean, we recently just had within a troop, I hate to just stick with Williston because I also, as I mentioned, oversee them all. So But we had recently 2 graduates from the K-9 class that graduated a week ago Friday after a 16-week program. Tom Hango's up in St. Albans, and Tim Oliver is in the Williston office. And then we also have a K-9 team, Matt Dennis down here with Harley is right here in Middlebury. So we're fortunate to have 3 K-9 teams. Also have members that are assigned to the special, our search and rescue teams, tactical support teams, as well as hostage
Dive team?
negotiations and dive teams. There are no dive team members in Williston, but we have some
Here
in
in
St.
Middlebury.
Albans. And of course, Craig Iverson oversees the dive team here for the state, and he's the station commander here in Middlebury.
Yes. Did a show with him,
Yes.
and also went out with the dive team.
That must have been interesting.
It was. Truly was.
You were able to go out with him.
Yes, I was.
Where did you end up going?
Lake Champlain. Yes, and one nice summer day. The weather was lovely.
Good.
It worked out
They
very
didn't
well.
throw you in.
Well, no, but you know, I did tell them all that I can't swim and that I'm terrified of water.
Well, you were with a good group to not be able to swim.
Well,
anyway.
that's what I thought. And boy, everybody, especially Iverson, made sure that I had my life preserver. What do you call it on? Well, he had a special name to protect me.
PFD?
But I did find out, that's it. But I did find out that if they rescue a body, they get extra money. They
do.
did mention that.
I've never heard that, but I'll have to talk to him about that.
You do that. What a concept, right? That's okay, guys. We're not out, but we can go back now. Now, something I really would like to talk about that I don't think our viewers know and Vermonters realize that many of you involved in the Vermont State Police at all levels do many volunteer projects for the community and for the state. And of course, I know very near and dear to your heart, Tom, is the Special Olympics.
Right. Yeah, that's a program that I've been involved in since about 1989, 1990. I became involved in it. Really, I took over for Major Valley at that time. Law enforcement here in the state as well as throughout the country have really formed a bond with Special Olympics. And we pretty much carry the banner for the beginning, or carry the torch really, for the beginning of their special games that occur every year, both in the winter and also in summer games.
And what year did you start becoming involved in this?
Well, when I was in Middlebury, the Special Olympics here, or Vermont Law Enforcement for Special Olympics, the torch run as we call it, has really been around since 1986. I was involved as a leg coordinator for the Addison County area when I was in Middlebury back in 1986. And then about 1989, 1990, I took over as the statewide coordinator for the torch run from Major Valley at that time, and I've been involved since.
I think we should also say here that it's not just Vermont State Police with this, it's all law enforcement throughout the state, and you had told me there's about 350.
Correct.
And that's wonderful.
Last year we had a total of about 350 officers, and that's municipal, sheriff, county, federal agencies that are all involved, and as well as state police that are involved in this program. And basically we come together around the 1st of June, and we carry a torch from the 4 corners of the state.
By hand,
running. It's not carried in a car, although the torch isn't lit.
Oh, this is good.
Well, it just saves a little on the hair, and
Yeah.
you know, we're
On the
losing that. We're
skin.
losing that as it goes.
Yeah, right.
But but it starts in Brattleboro on a Wednesday. That gets to a certain point up around Windsor, and then on Thursday another torch starts from the Derby area, and one also starts from the Bennington area, and those two, along with the one from Windsor, continue on up, the one coming up from Bennington on Friday ends in Pittsford, and the one from Derby and the one from Windsor end up in Montpelier. And on Friday morning, those two start up Route 2, heading right up to Burlington. The other one starts up 7, and also one starts at that date, or on that date, from Highgate, and starts down, and then they all meet in South Burlington. And then there's a final leg that law enforcement officers all that are in the area get together, run a final leg right up to UVM, where all the athletes that are going to be competing for that weekend, or on that weekend for Special Olympics, are all waiting there for the arrival of a law enforcement officer. There's a lot of pomp and circumstance, sirens, and it's really exhilarating. I mean, it really brings home the importance of what you're doing.
I think it's absolutely wonderful. And that you coordinate all of this as a major undertaking, and you do this voluntarily because of your compassion for Special Olympics. And along with all the other officers that become involved.
And believe me, it's far from just being me. There's many officers. We have one coordinator in each one of our offices. Of course, being a statewide organization, it's much easier for us to coordinate things, but we have a lot of local officers that put in as much time as any one of us do. And the people sitting on the statewide committee, it's a representation of all law enforcement that are there. So believe it's not just a state police operation by any means.
Right, I think that's important. And also, you also pass out the medals to the winners. So it goes all through the whole event right up to the very end.
Correct. On Saturday and Sunday they have the games, and I think for anybody that has a chance to attend, that is a very rewarding experience to see these athletes, you know, who are suffering from mental retardation, and how much work they do, how hard they try to do their very best, and just the fact of giving them a medal in the end means a lot.
Well, it's a very rewarding experience for me to meet you. And before we conclude, I would like to know what has had the most impact on you during your years here at Vermont State Police.
You didn't tell me you were going to ask that question.
Do you tell everything to everybody?
No.
Well, there you go.
I think just my 19 years with the Vermont State Police, the whole thing in total, the ability to have started at the troopers level and to move on up and be able to impact so many people, one in the communities that I've been able to work with, but also all the troopers that I've had the opportunity to work with and hopefully continue to work with. Right. I really enjoyed that, and the dispatch staff.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure for me to meet you. I think that you are a gentleman and a real asset to the Vermont State Police. And I just, I know you have many years left before you retire, and I know that you're just going to continue to enhance the Vermont State Police and just be a wonderful commander wherever your career takes you, because I'm sure you're going to be doing more counties in the future.
I don't know about that.
But it has been a pleasure, and I appreciate you taking time today to enlighten my viewers on your career, on Williston, and especially the Special Olympics.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Well, that was Captain Tom Pavlovich, and a fascinating, interesting man. And as we switch microphones here, my next guest is somebody who's always on the corner of the second floor at headquarters, and a very busy man, and he's ready to sit down. And this is Major R.J. Valley. Hello.
Hi, Patty.
This would be the most time we've ever talked, because
yes,
you're so busy.
I think you're right.
This is a real honor for me.
Well,
I actually have you here.
It's a pleasure for me, too.
Oh, well, thank you. That was a nice thing to say. Now, everybody knows there's no banner because you are unique, and that you want this show to be unique.
Well, that's correct. And I don't think that I am unique, and I think for the most part that we have a very unique organization in the Vermont State Police, and I think that's really one of the things I think that makes us a very strong organization is the fact that our people are really what make us what we are, and our ability to service Vermonters' needs in terms of public safety and crime prevention activities. I mean, really, that's not something that's done by fancy cars and special equipment, although those things are very critical to our providing those services. I mean, the one single ingredient that we have to be efficient at our job is to have high-quality people. And that is the one thing that I'm very proud of the people we have, the men and women that we have on this department, whether they're uniformed people or whether they're the dispatchers that serve as civilian employees in telecommunications. I mean, they're just an outstanding bunch of people, very dedicated to Vermonters, and they take their jobs very, very seriously. So I guess that, in that respect, I want to point out the uniqueness, and maybe in some respects the banner would detract from the fact that really to focus on people.
Well, I like the banner. But you know what? All of what you have just said is absolutely why I'm doing this series, because I think it's important for Vermonters and viewers, because we go partially into New Hampshire as well, is that they understand that uniform officers are real people. And they put their lives on the line and totally professional and dedicated.
Well, thank you very much.
Important.
I mean, I and I think that's a good, that's a significant point to make to people, is that oftentimes, particularly policemen that are in uniform, are seen as something a little distant from the average person, and certainly in many respects, certainly when you see perhaps media coverage of different events occurring in our world today, there is expectations on the part of the public that police officers certainly be on some held to some fairly high standards, and we hold ourselves to some really high standards too. But we want to remind people that we are human beings.
Absolutely.
We do make mistakes, but we have big hearts, and a lot of that is why we're in this business to begin with. To be quite frank, I mean, we don't join these organizations to arrest people. I think that's oftentimes, we do join these organizations, I think, because we are a people that really thrive on interacting with other people, and we also thrive on the excitement, certainly, that this business provides. And it is a business that is a very high-pressure, high-stress business, and certainly so you have to be that kind of person that wants that kind of interactivity on a daily basis.
And have the energy.
And have the energy. Certainly, and that's one reason we stress fitness, of course, in the organization, is because of you really need to have that day-to-day reserve and resolve to be able to hang in there in stressful situations.
Why don't you tell our viewers what your responsibilities are in that corner office that you're constantly busy? And I must say, well, I'm going to tell the public what I told you before. You are very intense. And whenever I want to talk to you, I'm always kind of intimidated and afraid, because what I have to talk to you about in a TV series is so minor compared to the important things of what you handle there as the major of the entire field forces, which is the uniform division.
That's
Every
correct.
uniform officer is under your basic command and John Sinclair. So could you just give everybody the real responsibilities and what your whole job entails in that office?
Well, as the field force commander, as you said, I'm in charge of all the uniformed state troopers in the Vermont State Police, and in addition to that, certainly all of the 12 stations that we have scattered throughout the state of Vermont. The infrastructure of those facilities and the dispatch responsibilities, of course, also fall to our staff in the field force. So we have basically, just under 200 sworn personnel that would be assigned to our division, and in addition to that, we have 59 civilian dispatchers around the state. So it's certainly the largest unit within the Vermont State Police. I have a budget just under $14 million. And as an example, again, of the investment that we have in people, over 13.875 of that $14 million is money related to salaries and expenses related to people. And certainly, if anything, where we're missing on the boat is really having some of the money available for investment of infrastructure in terms of equipment and updating our radio systems and those sorts of things that are like 30, 40 years old in technology.
And that's really old in today's technology.
Oh, it's really,
Let's explain this to our viewers. People think something came in 1970s, not so old, but it really is, isn't it?
Oh, it's really, in today's world, the radio system that we have in Vermont for, and the design of the radio system affects not only the state police, but all the law enforcement agencies, because it's a basic structure that everyone operates from, even though different hardware might be in specific departments. And a lot of those departments have had more monies to expend and at least keep updated hardware. But the basic design of the Vermont telecommunications system for police officers throughout the state is very outdated. As a matter of fact, it's somewhat of a joke sometimes with the technicians that we have to maintain the equipment. All the engineers and the people that design the system are many of them are dead, and certainly the companies don't even produce the parts anymore. So oftentimes we're scavenging around from other parts of the country just to come up with parts to keep our operations running. One reason that we are one of our big projects right now in the Field Force Division, we have an experiment going on down in D Troop, which is in the southern part of the state. D Troop encompasses the Shasberry, Rockingham, and Brattleboro stations. We have a pilot project going on right now to consolidate our dispatch in Brattleboro and Rockingham into one site, into Rockingham. This is a model that we're hoping to, if it works out well, we're hoping to emulate that throughout the state so that eventually we could have fewer dispatch sites. We wouldn't close up the state police stations. I certainly want to make that clear to the public. But the dispatching itself would occur only from a reduced number of sites. And we're thinking that part of that theory behind this is that if we have fewer sites to maintain, our ability to stretch the outdated system we have will be somewhat better and a more cost-efficient operation for us. The other thing, of course, what I'm hoping for is eventually that the state of Vermont and the people in Vermont will get a new radio system, something that's designed
Up to date.
in less than 30 or 40 years.
If we can, let's just clarify for a minute so our viewers understand why the money and why it's so necessary, because the communications is really the dispatchers getting to the troopers in the car radios to let them have a response time. Is that, can you explain that a little bit?
It's a very basic ingredient, and I think we talked a little bit earlier in the sense of one reason this is kind of near and dear to my heart is when I first got into the police business, I was going to Castleton State College as a student. I was a young man, a new father, and trying to juggle going to school and providing for my family at the same time. So I had gone to the police chief in Rutland, and
was that Jenny at the time?
Stu Jenny was the police chief in Rutland at the time, and I essentially knocked on his door looking for a job, looking for any kind of work that I could go to school and work at the same time. And I became the city police department's first civilian dispatcher.
I think that's wonderful.
Prior to that time, they had utilized desk sergeants in that role. They were using police officers in that role, and he saw the opportunity to interject civilian employees
and leave an officer
free. That was actually a supervising officer too, and that supervisor was tied to a desk, and that wasn't a good situation. So I was their first pilot project, and so this is near and dear to my heart. I mean, I entered this business on the communication side of things, and it's a very key point, again, getting back to this is a people business. The people that we have in the communications points, our dispatchers, are really critical to us in the sense that that first exposure, that first link, oftentimes is a caller calling into a police station or a barracks, and they have a wide range of issues going on with them, but they're looking for help many times. And that interaction we have is very critical. So the people that we have doing that work at that point is very critical in terms of how they interact professionally and with empathy to those people. And at the same time, again, getting back to your original question, the quality of that equipment that they rely on to then, if there's a police response or some other emergency response that's necessary to this situation that the caller's calling about, I mean, that communication system is critical to getting those services to where they need to be. The other thing, from a more selfish standpoint, but one that I'm selfish about in our organization, and that is the safety of our police officers, our troopers. That radio system is the absolute link that troopers have out there on the highways and in the towns that we service to asking for help and assistance. And in our organization, and not to certainly think that it's any less critical, because radio systems are critical regardless of whether you're in the Burlington City Department or whether you're in the Vermont State Police. But help is much further away when you're a state trooper, generally
yes.
speaking.
Sure. Could be anywhere.
We're out in a lot of the remote, more rural areas, and we certainly are oftentimes working alone, and so we may be talking 20 minutes or half hour or 45 minutes.
It's a long time when you're having a crisis
from
situation.
having someone come to help you if you need help. So your radio really becomes a lifelink for you, and so there's a real need in Vermont to make a major investment in a new radio system. I think the public deserves a better system than what we have now. I think they probably expect that we have.
Well, no, you know what? I'm going to
have.
interrupt you. I think they assume we have it, and
You're probably correct.
that it works. And I think we should really point out that we need one, and it's crucial.
Well,
and
it
ours
is.
is so old, and we certainly can't expect to have any trooper in a remote area having static on a radio when he needs backup support or whatever.
Yeah.
Is that well said?
That's
Is that
well.
okay?
That's well said, Patty. And I certainly and conversely, we don't want to be in a position to not get critical resources to a citizen that needs help as quickly as possible. So I mean, it's a two-way street. That kind of infrastructure is important to Vermonters and to troopers, and I think we both agree on that.
Did you have any incidents in your life that led you to the calling of law enforcement? I didn't ask you that one either.
No,
Is that what you're gonna-
you didn't ask me that. This is a little blindsidedness, but
You speak well, though.
I had interactions with law enforcement officers as a young person in my
Did you?
life.
Positive ones?
Well, I would say I guess they were positive ones in the long run.
Yes, because look at you now.
I ended up being certainly responsible for my actions in my youth. There were times when I was confronted by law enforcement officers and maybe asked to go to court for things or for things that I had done wrong in my youth. And so those were positive interactions. It wasn't, I mean, we're not talking any major deals, but I had a hot car as a kid. I mean, I had a GTO, and that was a nice car, and I drove it too fast, and I got caught. And I look back on those things, and those were positive interactions. They were Vermont State Troopers.
Were they?
And I think back on those days now, and I think it was probably some of the stage setting that led me into having a great deal of respect for this organization. Those people dealt with me harshly, but professionally. So I had a great deal of respect for them. And that brings me somewhat here, although that didn't drive me to this job. I really got into criminal justice courses during my early college years, and between that and dispatching for the PD in Rutland, and I had gone to Northeastern University in Boston my first year, and that was during a time of a lot of major demonstrations against the Vietnam War. There was some rioting on our campus, so I've seen a lot of interaction with riot squads and just a number of things that really I kept becoming involved or brushing into criminal justice issues, and it really intrigued me. I thought it was an area that I could get involved in and provide a community service.
Well, I have another good question for you.
Okay.
Well, I think it's a good question, but what attributes have you learned in the field that you've brought to the position of major that you have now?
I think if there's anything that I try to bring to my position today, one of the things is diversity. I've had a very fortunate career in that I've been very diversified in law enforcement, beginning in dispatching in a city police department, working as a juvenile detective on the city police department in Rutland, and a patrolman, and then transitioning into state police life because I wanted to go to a larger organization, and also one that afforded me some different areas of expertise to get into. I was interested in drug law enforcement, undercover work, and I've done those jobs in the state police. I've been a patrol supervisor, I've been an undercover officer, I've been an undercover supervisor. I supervised our intelligence unit and our governor security unit, our fraud investigation units.
Let me interrupt you
I've
here.
done a number of things.
You've been very varied background. I mean, as we were talking and taking notes. You started with the Rutland City PD as first of all, the dispatcher. I mean, you had the enterprising foresight to knock on Jenny's door and ask him if he needed a dispatcher, and then you went into being a patrol officer. And then what year did you join the Vermont State Police?
In 1974, I went with the state police, and it's been 22 years of the best times. You know, I can't think of, other than one day, which I call my black day in the state police.
Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, it's I can talk about it. Yes, yeah. On May 12th, 1992, at the time I was Assistant Field Force Commander, and I was in charge as part of that job. That went along with that job, I should say, was the responsibilities for oversight for all our special teams, our EOD team, search and rescue, hostage negotiations, and the dive team. And on May 12th, 1992, I reviewed the request to have our dive team to go back to Huntington Gorge. I talked with Lieutenant Iverson about the plans that we had for that day. Matter of fact, I even visited the site down at Huntington Gorge that morning. On my way to headquarters, I visited the site. I actually met with the father of the dad, the boy that had drowned in the gorge, and we were searching for his body. And we were going to be working with the National Guard that day. And that was my black day with the Vermont State Police, only from the standpoint that several hours later, everything looked well in hand. And several hours later, around noontime, or by noontime, you know, I had received a call at headquarters that one of our divers was trapped under the water, and Sergeant Gary Gabry lost his life that day. And so for me, that is the one day when, despite with the state police, that despite all the kinds of precautions, and we have a number of checks and balances systems that we use so that there's no single decision-making processes, and despite all those kinds of hoops that we've put in place to ensure people's safety, that was the one day that reality set in for me, and that is that despite all those things that we do in this business, it is a risky business.
No, absolutely.
And
Anything can
people
happen.
can lose their life, and do lose their life.
Yes. A very sad day for all of Vermont.
It was.
As well,
And,
you know.
But, you know, you asked me the question and about that day, and so it's not something, I think, it's something that I bring to my new job. It is a part of my history, and I do think that's important for me in my new role as the commander of the Uniform Division, because I have to be reminded, I remind myself daily. I stop cars every day coming when I get an opportunity or see a violator out there. I mean, I still drive a marked car, and I try to interact with the public that break the law, and not for just to be an enforcement person, but I want to engage with the public still, and I also want to know the kinds of things that the people that work for me are being confronted with. If they're being confronted with irate citizens, I want to keep feeling that so I remember that. And I also want to keep that memory of Gary's death very close to me, because I know that every person that's working for me every day is being exposed to that.
Yes, there's that potential for 200
that's
people.
Right. That's right.
Every day.
Yeah.
And you never know. And they don't have to be in a special unit. They could just be a
Oh,
trooper.
absolutely.
And that's important too. You know, it's not just special unit,
no.
people who are also high risk, but everybody.
That's right.
You know, you put your lives on the line to protect all of us every day, and nobody knows.
Yeah, you know, and this is a world, and it's no different in the state police world, but I think in society today in general, if you look at, for instance, if something tragic happens, all of a sudden there's usually a real reaction to, well, why did this have to happen in today's world? And couldn't have this been prevented? And those aren't unhealthy discussions. Those are good discussions and thoughtful discussions to have for preventative purposes. But there's also, I think, to some degree, an unrealistic expectation that everything that bad can be prevented. That this will never happen to me concept is out there and alive. And I'm not going to be negative about things. I don't think we can worry every day, but if you're in the police business, you're in a very high stress and a dangerous occupation.
And realistic.
And realistically, you have to be aware, and our families have to be aware, and they are. They know that we're out there, and something can happen.
It truly is the one job on the face of this earth that when you kiss your husband goodbye, that could be the last time forever. You know, because of the very nature of the job. You just don't know what the day is going to bring.
It's interesting, and I don't know now that you bring that up, in the sense that I think oftentimes that discussion is probably rarely held between police officers and their spouses.
Really?
But well, I
suppose
because I think it's one of those
so
discussions.
Tender. It's very tender.
That's right. It's there, but it's one of those things you don't raise on a regular basis. It's just below the surface, and but I think it might be interesting to you. And I don't know if you have any plans to certainly interview any of the wives or husbands of our troops, but that might be some very interesting interviews for you.
Well, that's a thought. I'll put that on my notes. You give me pages and pages of notes.
Oh, I can give you ideas.
I love those notes. Yes, you do. I think it's real important for everybody to know that you did, you touched a minute ago, but you have done BCI and undercover work in drug, what's the word? Undercover drug enforcement. And before we had the Southern Task Force and the Northern Task Force, so we're going back a few years.
It was called the Special Investigations Unit then, SIU.
Yep, and then, which we still have now. And then you did the governor's detail, and then you were commander in Rockingham, Bennington area at one time. And tell the little story about how you lived in Essex and how you were commander of all of that.
I was troop commander in 2 districts at one time.
Two districts.
We've gone through a number of downsizings in our management staff and the state police in recent years, and so for the D troop commander, which again is at the time it was Rockingham and Brattleboro. The D Troop commander was Captain Roy Pryor at that time. He lives in the Rutland area, as a matter of fact. He had retired, and the decision was made that somebody needed to cover his district and keep a district too. So I did command for 2 districts for 9 months. Fortunately, at that time, we were able to, after a 9-month period, I was running from Essex Junction all the way to Brattleboro, and
that's amazing.
It was quite a commute.
I guess so, and a lot of responsibility.
And it was a lot of responsibility, and we fortunately have reorganized the troops and the districts over a recent period of time. So we now have the troop commanders aligned with a maximum of 3 stations each. But even that realignment has caused a great deal of stress on the people like Captain Polovich that was here earlier.
In what way?
Well, because that the span of control that they're now responsible for, where we used to have 5 districts, there's 4 districts. Not only that, but the assistant field force position that we used to have has not been filled. So the responsibilities are still there for running different grant programs and things that would have gone to the assistant field force job before, and now those have been shared between what staff I have left, and essentially is a staff of myself and the 4 captains to run a pretty busy, big and busy business, and
a tight ship.
And at the same time, yes, and that's one of the things that I'm glad you brought that up, because in this business we can't really afford to let things slip through the cracks. The public doesn't deserve that kind of situation. And again, it gets back to integrity is like a very key core element of core value to us, and it certainly is in terms of our perception by the public. We have to have the utmost integrity, and they expect that of us. And really, part of the quality control systems that you have in an organization such as ours is that you have to have sufficient management oversight. And I don't mean by this to be looking over at someone's shoulder throughout the day. I mean that you have to have processes and procedures, and you have to hold people accountable for their actions, and you have to look into things when the public questions, a trooper's behavior or the manner in which they were serviced by the Vermont State Police. They deserve to have us give them a reasonable answer, to have us look into it thoroughly. And we find it difficult to do that in a manner that's acceptable to us, quality-wise, as we stretch the management people, and in a manner that satisfies the citizen. So.
Well, 4 people under yourself, that's 5 people for a state of 500,000 people. That's one way to look at it.
I guess it is.
Am I right?
That's correct.
So that's not a whole lot to do a whole lot.
Well, it isn't in a sense, too. And the other part of that staffing issue is when you get to what kind of services, getting back to what does the division do in terms of our role and mission. We are the local police department for over 200 towns in the state of Vermont. I think according to the last information I had, that we're actually, in those communities that we service, over 50% of the population of Vermont resides. To say nothing about the major highways, the interstate highway system, the major routes that obviously all of Vermonters are interacting on. We may be responsible for policing those, and certainly the visitors that we have here in Vermont. So we're doing that with less than a third of the policemen that are in Vermont. The police officers that we have available to do that policing are really only just over a third of those policemen that are in Vermont doing law enforcement services. So we've got a big chunk of the pie when it comes to responsibility, and we have a small chunk of the pie when it comes to resources. And that's a stressful mix.
And I think also in that pie we should include the geographic area is very rural.
Well, it can be, and that's a factor that many of our stations have 18 towns to cover, for
That's
an
a lot.
example. And if you're doing that, on average, we find that a shift will have sometimes 2 troopers and maybe three troopers and a supervisor, a sergeant, patrol commander on a shift. Now, having 3 troopers in 18 towns, so each trooper covering 6 towns, that's a big responsibility. And depending on where those towns are, if you get up into the Northeast Kingdom, there's some mileage that can be involved in these distances and servicing these communities. And certainly the types of calls that we get, oftentimes domestic violence calls and things of that nature, are going to require sending 2 officers or 2 troopers. You can see where suddenly it becomes a very difficult logistical problem for that shift commander to service the needs of an area. So that those distances are a factor for us. One of the things that I get very excited about in terms of new initiatives over the last few years in the state police has been the COPS program. This is the
Let's talk about that. People understand what that is.
Well, this is the contract outpost patrol system, but what it really is, it means that we have a partnership established with a particular community where this community signs up a contract with us. It's a 3-year commitment on the part of the town, and they contract for us for 40 hours of policing services per week. Now, these are towns, and I'll give you an example. These are usually towns that are they're towns that are growing, and they have some policing needs that we just aren't able to give them enough coverage that they're happy with the coverage that they're getting from us, and yet at the same time they're not ready to take on the responsibilities and costs and liabilities of their own police department. Because in order to do that, you have to really make a significant investment. So what we offer is this partnership with us, and it runs just over $50,000 a year, which is expensive. But for that, we go out, we can hire an additional trooper. We purchase a car and the equipment's necessary to equip the vehicle and the officer. And then over that 3-year period, we don't assign a specific individual trooper to that town. What we do is try to facilitate a variety of troopers from that station. In other words, we take the trooper that we've hired with that money, assign that new officer to that station, and then the total complement of the troopers at that station try to provide that, or do provide that 40-hour commitment each week
To that town.
to that community. Now what that does, and where this is important to the community, is that community no longer are they just held to the kinds of services based on an incident demand type
Right.
of thing to us. In other
When they
words,
can get there.
When we get there, or based on the priority of the call, the seriousness of the offense, they are now assured that there's going to be a trooper in town for at least 40 hours a week. The station commanders work with those communities to try and, we look at the profile of the town and also ask the town what their needs are, and we try to be there or schedule those 40 hours during times that are going to be most productive. And mostly preventative. What we really like about this, or what I like about this program, is that, I mean, not only do we get additional staffing to provide better services, but I think having that ability to be in the town for 40 hours a week really allows us to become more of a community-oriented policing program, to be proactive. We've got some of the towns we were involved in. We have Jericho, we have Poultney, we have Enosburg and Richford up north. We have the town of Heartland over outside of Bethel area. We have Weathersfield down outside of the Rockingham district. And those towns, we're really seeing some real potential for us to do some preventative type law enforcement by being in the town, by interacting with the citizens there, by finding out what their problems are, what their perceived problems are. We can really get into some triaging and working on preventative issues. And just recently today at the troop commanders meeting, some of the troop commanders were talking about how can we improve this program, and a couple of them are looking into, I mean, those towns where we have this contract, some of the school officials are even thinking of having an office space for the trooper to come into in the high schools.
Oh, that's great.
And to be there on certain times and to provide, because that's an age, an at-risk group that we really want to interact with in a positive way.
Be able to touch base with them regularly.
We do some things in the DARE programs in many of those communities, and that's geared at the 5th and 6th grade age groups. And we really think that doing something in the high school age group or getting more interactive with that group and animated can again go a long ways in probably preventative measures within a community. Oftentimes a community, sometimes there's a lot of rub between adolescents and the adults, and a lot of that's natural. But a lot of times there's a lot of need for communication and understanding on both parties' parts, and I think this could again gives us a mechanism to get in there and interact with people, and perhaps prevent a lot of things that don't have to escalate into something becoming an arrest situation.
Well, I'll tell you something else as you speak that occurs to me that would achieve, and that is for young people to see that what confidence and self-esteem and character and integrity are, and to achieve and to try to strive for those goals, and the officers that they can come to know and to interact with. And I think that's very important, as well as them learning to prevent crime. But we all need role models, and we are really winding down on time. I didn't even need my notes, but I have to ask you one question.
Sure. Okay.
Okay.
Shoot.
You have an air of confidence and an aura of confidence. Does that ever waver?
Yeah, I don't see myself that way.
No, but you do.
Well, I'll take your word for it.
But that's good. I mean, it's a compliment. It's a compliment.
Oh, I took it that way.
It's a compliment. It is a compliment.
I took it that way, believe me. But You know, oftentimes I worry, you mentioned earlier in the program, I worry about the fact that I feel bad that I don't, when somebody does approach me with questions, particularly employees at work and so forth, that I often do have so many things going on in my mind and issues going on and things I want to do that I feel that I don't give everyone the attention they deserve, and they don't feel comfortable approaching me with their questions. And I just love the people that I work with, and I'd hate to slight them at all.
You can't possibly, because of all the responsibility you have. And I've had the privilege of being on second floor as just a civilian person, and I see how busy you are constantly, and constantly there's crisis coming up. And I mean, even when you walk to get a coffee, it's like you steal those seconds just to walk down the hall to get your cup of coffee. And I just want you to know that it is a real honor for me to speak with you and to see that you are an extraordinary man. And that is a compliment also. But, you know, it's for what you've done in the state police. I mean, so many responsibilities and various jobs that you have undertaken in your several years, many years there, in all facets, from undercover work and BCI through commanders of even two troops at once, but a man of extraordinary integrity. And I think Vermonters and our viewers should just realize that and see we're very fortunate to have you as commander of the field forces.
Well, thank you
and
very
I
much.
appreciate your taking time to participate in this series, and I just feel it's a real honor to know you.
Thank you very much.
And I
Pat.
thank you. Oh, and everybody, just before we close, these signify major. We can't get the camera, but they are gold oak leaves.
They are.
Did I do that right?
Excellent.
I said that right.
Excellent.
Hey, she has a brain too. Anyway, it's been an enjoyable hour, everybody, and I thank you again, Major Valley.
Well, we really appreciate your doing this series. Again, I think there's so much diversity in our organization, and it's one reason we rotate the troopers through the COPS program in the communities. The communities essentially initially oftentimes say to us, oh, we'd like to have our own trooper, you know, so that we know that it's Trooper Smith or Trooper Jones.
Sure.
And we try to say, no, we really think, give us a try, because we've got so many varieties of people, and some people will, you know, we all have our little specialties.
And our personalities.
And our personalities,
Sure.
and we will click better with some people in the community than others, and we may not click with others at all.
Right.
But I think if you let us balance our people, rotate our people through there, that we'll offer you a pretty good mix.
Oh, it's an excellent program, and a financial deal. It sounds to me.
Well, it's a deal,
You know?
in the sense that actually for $50,000, that's a pretty inexpensive way to start to enhance your law enforcement program from the community side, and certainly from the state police side. We know that state resources just aren't growing at a level to afford us as a state police organization go in and
To
say,
be everywhere.
you know, we can't go in and say, we've said we need 50 more troopers. That's been said for decades now. So that number doesn't get any smaller. We don't
No,
get any.
certainly.
We can't afford new troopers. So this is a good partnership between the state and local communities to service Vermonters' needs. And I think I think those communities. It's my hats off to those communities that have given us the signal of support by jumping on board with that.
Well, all of it together, the COPS program and the Vermont State Police are doing an extraordinary job here in Vermont, and my hat is off to you, and I think most of Vermonters are, all of Vermonters are. And time goes so fast, I could just do another whole hour. We could just sit and talk, and I still wouldn't look at my notes, RJ. Anyway, we are concluded another program just like that, Profiling the Vermont State Police. I appreciate you bringing me into your living rooms. I hope each time you meet our illustrious men and women who protect us and take care of us and are there for us and put their lives on the line every day, you have a new appreciation and respect for them, as I do. And thank you for watching, and most of all, be safe.